Hi everyone, welcome to another video. Today, let's talk about Saturn's placement in different nakshatras. And this video is going to be quite long, so take your time, come back to it whenever you want to. Hey there, welcome to a very important video where we are going to talk about the Saturn's placements. How Saturn functions in a certain nakshatra. What is the core karmic lesson Saturn is showing you? What kind of life theme you may witness with that placement? How Saturn impacts your career in a certain nakshatra? How it impacts the stability in love life as well? This video almost took me a month. It took me entire 35 days to record this because it's a pretty long video, around 3 hours 30 minutes. So I know when you will listen it will again take a lot of time to listen and understand. And talking about Saturn is always very tricky because I know it activates pain, it activates difficult memories, because all these years I have been watching comments, especially under Saturn's video. We have people talking about their pain and challenges. So what is my intention is not to activate any memory of yours, but if you maturely listen to it, you will realize, you will understand what the placement of Saturn is trying to tell you, how it's trying to shape you, how it brings a certain experience and lesson so that a certain maturity, a certain mastery happens for you. And I know most of us are not ready to take the lessons openly and to master. We always ask questions. Why do this challenge even exist? Why do I have to go through this so many times? So I know, like, we have these questions, but as an astrologer, someone who views different planets and how they function, it's always about growth. It's always about learning something, mastery. And this mastery is going to be there till the death, like till the very end of your life. You are learning something, you're mastering something, and there is no escape. Okay. So yeah, that's my perspective. I recently see people, they have a hard time understanding my perspective. I am not kind of telling you to follow that. Just a perspective, just a human talking to you, human to human interaction. And yeah, that's it. So let's get back, let's focus back to our video. Saturn in different nakshatras, Saturn's understanding from Ashwini to Revati. I feel this video is also not enough because there is a lot to be understood about Saturn through nakshatras. And yeah, we are certainly doing a course very soon dedicated to Saturn in all nakshatras. So yeah, if you're interested, you're always welcome to our school. Okay, so let's see how these placements of Saturn in different nakshatras are going to impact your journey. Saturn in Ashwini Nakshatra. The core theme over here is that the karmic lesson of Saturn is slow down without losing your power, without losing your zest or your fire. Ashwini is the fastest nakshatra of all. It wants instant results, instant healing, instant movement, and Saturn is the slowest planet. It forces time, patience, maturity, reality. So Saturn in Ashwini is literally speed versus time. impulse versus discipline, I want it now versus earn it properly. What Ashwini represents, it's the nakshatra of initiations, healing, quick recovery, your intelligence, that very instinct based intelligence, courage, action without overthinking, and the very first spark of creation. Of course, it's the Aries energy. So it's like the soul is saying, I'm ready, let's go. What Saturn is doing here? Saturn in Ashwini creates a path where the person learns that you can't rush through things. You can't rush through karma, even if you are talented, you are gifted, you're naturally fast. Saturn says you will win only after the training period, only after learning certain things. So, here are the karmic lessons of Saturn in Ashwini. Number one, you're not here to escape discomfort. Ashwini energy wants you to heal quickly and move on. But the Saturn says sit with it, process it, mature and grow through it. And don't bypass your emotions. This placement teaches that healing or fixing something isn't speed, healing is depth. Number two, discipline is your real medicine. Being consistent is your real medicine. Ashwini is ruled by the greatest healers, the divine healers, and that is Ashwini Kumars. So, Saturn and Ashwini people are natural healers. They have intuitive hands, they have a fixing mindset, they want to rescue others. But Saturn says your healing power only becomes stable when your lifestyle becomes stable. So, their karma becomes routine, being consistent, having structure, doing the same thing daily. Number three, your patience is your enemy. This is one of the biggest karmas. Saturn here often gives frustration when things don't happen fast, irritation with the people who are slow, anger because of delays, quitting too early, giving up too early on things. The lesson is stay even when the excitement about something ends for you. Because Ashwini loves the start, but Saturn will test the middle process of everything. Number four, learn to build stamina, not just the speed. Ashwini is like the sprinter. Saturn makes you a marathon runner and Ashwini makes you a sprinter. So life forces you into situations that require long term effort, patience in the career or love or healing, loyalty to dedication to one path. The struggle Saturn brings for you is delay in the quick wins. Ashwini wants fast wins, but Saturn gives slow progress, slow growth, slow stability, even if you are very talented. Number two, feeling blocked in early life. Many people with displacement feel, why am I not moving ahead? Why is everyone faster than me? Why do I have to work harder? Saturn often gives a late blooming impact, slow start, strong finish. Number three, fear of starting because of failure. Like I don't want to even initiate because I know somehow I will fail. This is a very strong fear deep within. Though Ashwini is about being free from fears because you're so courageous, but Saturn here brings fear of mistakes or not being the right person or not being perfect or fear of judgment of people or wasting your time. So this makes you trapped in caution. Then there are physical karmas as well because Ashwini rules over the head, the brain, the nervous system, the movement. So Saturn can give headaches from stress, burnout, fatigue, from doing not too much, anxiety from rushing, body pain when ignoring rest. The Saturn over here says respect limits. Not every time you can be active. So you have to see what Saturn is testing here. It is testing you that will you stay consistent when the excitement is gone? Can you keep on going consistently? And can you wait without losing faith in life, like trusting the process? Or do you need instant proof of success? Can you heal in life without escaping, searching for a quick fix or or a quick lifestyle? Or healing requires boundaries of Saturn. This is what you are learning here. Saturn's reward in your journey is if you learn your lessons well. The Saturn's reward, the gift after you attain mastery, is you become a disciplined healer, not chaotic, not impulsive or inconsistent. You become someone who can heal steadily, professionally, and you will be long term successful. You will be a builder of new beginnings. Ashwini start things, Saturn makes them finish things. So you become someone who can start a project and make it sustainable, create something that lasts, and building a legacy. You become a fearless leader with maturity. You will be so courageous. You're not controlling the outcome of anything, no more reckless. You become fast when needed, slow when needed, and that is your real power. The shadow aspect of Saturn and Ashwini is rushing into relationships, rushing into new ideas or work ideas, rushing into spiritual practices, impatience with people, trying to fix everyone, quitting when results don't come fast, blaming fate for delays. And Saturn's punishment here is simple: you will repeat the same lesson until you slow down. In love, Saturn in Ashwini can bring early love disappointments because Ashwini falls fast and Saturn makes them learn slow bonding, trusting someone very slowly. Emotional maturity is required in love. Don't run ahead of relationships' reality. This is the biggest lesson. Later, love becomes stable and strong. Once the Saturn matures here, it gives a loyal partner, long lasting marriage, stable love, but later, not early. In the career, you may follow a profession which is healing in nature, like a therapist, energy healer, doctor, leadership roles, entrepreneurship, something independent, success in sports, fitness, emergency work, fast paced work. But Saturn makes the career somehow slow and steady. You must master discipline before you master success. So your career grows best when you have a routine, you have structure, you have patience, you have daily practice of your skill set. So Saturn in Ashwini is one of the most intense karmic placements because Saturn debilitates here. Ashwini wants the speed, but Saturn only give rewards through time. So you may feel delayed, blocked, or forced to wait, especially early in life, but your consistent efforts, your patience will pay great results. So you don't have to rush. You have to build a strength that lasts for a long time. Saturn in Bharani Nakshatra. What is the core karmic lesson? Here, you need to learn to carry the emotional weight but without breaking yourself. Bharani is ruled by the god of death, justice, that is the Yama, the god of restraint, consequences, death, rebirth, cycles. It's not a very light nakshatra. It deals with responsibilities, moral boundaries, hidden intensity, sacrifices, survival, and transformation through pressure. Saturn here becomes very karmic. What Bharani represents? It is the energy of intense emotions, birth, extreme attachment, extreme highs and lows, strong desires, the very capacity to endure a burden or suffering. It has silent strength and the power of internal transformation. It is the energy of the womb which holds, carries, nourishes, and sustains the life. But here the Saturn will ask you one thing: how much can you carry without losing yourself? What does Bharani is all about when Saturn enters here? Saturn and Bharani. Well, it creates a life where the responsibility will come quite early. Emotional maturity is forced. Burdens will feel so heavy, and it will keep on testing you. Moral tests of life. There is guilt, shame, or secrecy. Transformation always happens through pain. So, of course, it's not a light placement because it tests your endurance. The karmic lessons of Saturn in Bharani are: number one, boundaries with desire. As Bharani is ruled by Venus, it surely gives deep desire for love, pleasure, attachment, and intensity. But Saturn over here says not every desire should be followed, not every attachment is healthy, not every love is destiny. The karmic lesson over here is control your intensity, or it will control you in a more of a devastating manner. Number two, you're not meant to carry everyone's burden, everyone's karma. People with Saturn and Bharani often attract people who are already troubled. They carry their own burden. Um, they feel responsible for family drama, even though the drama is being created by someone else. They carry guilt for things which are not theirs, and they try to fix everyone. Saturn teaches compassion without self sacrifice. Number three, your endurance is strength, but you don't have to sacrifice yourself every time. Bharani can endure extreme pain. That is the quality of it. But Saturn here is testing how long will you tolerate disrespect? How much emotional suffering will you normalize? Will you choose survival or dignity? And the lesson is, just because you can endure it doesn't mean you should endure so much of pain. Number four, karmic accountability is also there. The energy of Yama is strict, it is dutiful. So, Saturn here makes people face consequences directly, experience karmic returns strongly, feel guilty intensely, even if they cross moral lines. This placement will teach you how to be humble. So, early life responsibilities is a very big thing for Saturn and Bharani. You will grow up too fast. You have to take care of your siblings or your parents as well. Feeling emotionally older than other people, like I'm an old soul kind of thing. There is very intense love karma. This is a placement that often gives deep love, very painful attachments, betrayal, lessons in karmic partners. No light romance with Saturn in Bharani. Then there's a fear of losing control in life. Saturn here can create suppressed anger, emotional shutdown. Then there is sexual guilt as well, fear of being exposed. There are also shame wounds which comes with this placement. It could be body shame, sexual shame, guilt about desire, desiring something in life, moral fear of moral judgment from society. Saturn forces healing through owning your truth without self punishment. Saturn is testing these things in Bharani, right? This is about self love and fear of losing control. So there's always a test about how much will you carry and when you should walk away from these things. You should say no to things. You must stop over giving. You must release something you love. Even it starts hurting, leave those things behind just to create strength in you, endurance in you. And once you pass the test of Saturn, it rewards you with very strong emotional core, not numb, not cold, but powerful. You become moral authority. People trust you because you understand pain, you understand consequences, you don't act lightly. You become resilient beyond normal measure. This placement can produce survivors, even leaders, healers, therapists, reformers, activists, people who rise after total collapse. Saturn in Bharani, with respect to love, makes the early love in life consuming, painful, karmic, and intense. The later the love arrives is stable, respectful, deeply loyal. But yes, after learning the boundaries of Bharani. In the career, the common themes can be law, justice, therapy, trauma healing, finances, crisis management, women's health, and social reform. Any work which requires great endurance and discipline. The very shadow aspect of this placement is people can be manipulative, emotional manipulation, controlling partners, staying in toxic bonds, over sacrificing, secret resentment and anger, very rigid sense of superiority, and also punishing self. So, these can be the shadow aspects of this placement. Saturn in Bharani is not about punishment, it is about endurance. But the karmic lesson is this: just because you can carry the weight doesn't mean you should. And Saturn in Bharani is all about your soul is learning strength through emotional accountability and boundaries. Saturn in Krittika. The very core karmic lesson of Saturn in Kritika is learn to control your inner fire, your inner power without losing your strength. Kritika is ruled by the fire, the Agni. It burns, purifies, separates the truth from illusion. It is sharp, critical, powerful, protective. Now, when the Saturn, which is the planet of karma, discipline, restriction, lives in this nakshatra of fire, what happens? It is combustion, controlled combustion, but combustion is there. There is smoke, there is fire, and what Kritika represents. Kritika is sharpness, sharp speech, criticism for self and for others as well, high standards, cutting through lies, ego purification, spiritual purification, leadership, moral fire. The morality is also a part of Kritika's nature. It is the blade, it is the fire, it is sharp, it cut down illusions. What Saturn is doing here? Saturn in Kritika often creates criticism. Very early in life, you will experience criticism. Authority figures are very strict and blunt. Father energy feels heavy or distant. Self worth feels tested. Perfectionism is there, which is unhealthy. Anger is suppressed. This placement creates internal pressure, but that pressure forges power, strength. So, what are the Saturn's karmic lessons in Kritika? Number one, control your speech, your tongue. Kritika can be blunt, brutally honest. Saturn teaches speak responsibly, wait and speak. Words have karmic weight. Not every truth needs to be used as a weapon. Number two, precision is not worth self destruction. Many Saturn and Kritika natives, they set very impossible standards for themselves and for other people as well. They criticize themselves harshly, feel never good enough in life, overwork to prove your worth. The mind keeps on like, I have to prove my worth, otherwise I'm losing something. Discipline is important here. You don't have to attack yourself. You just discipline. A disciplined life is beautiful way of living. Number three, there can be authority issues. It could be authority at work front, like the bosses, strict parents. There's a pressure to succeed and prove your worth, and power struggles with people, even in relationships. Number four, burn without burning out. Kritika has intense drive, and Saturn says, pace yourself, don't overheat. Anger needs structure, ambition needs sustainability. Endurance is important, it's much better than intensity. What are the common life themes with Saturn and Bharani? Early ego wounds. Displacement often feels like being criticized a lot of times, being judged, compared, and not appreciated, especially by father figure or authority. So it creates deep drive to prove yourself. Number two, suppressed anger. Because Saturn restricts anger, so anger turns inward towards your own self. And this can show as digestive issues, inflammation, physical ailments, headaches, jaw tension, harsh inner dialogue. So that anger needs to be channeled in some doing something good. Number three, reputation karma. Kritika is connected to status and visibility. Here, Saturn can give this sense of that the world, the people are judging me all the time, worried about your reputation. And also, sometimes it delays the recognition at the work front, or overall, um, the much deserved respect comes later. What is the Saturn's test in Kritika? Can you use your fire, your power responsibility? It will create situations where you must hold your dignity. You should be calm. You must speak carefully. And there are times when you're criticized in a very unfair way, so you have to keep the calm in that situation. What are the Saturn's rewards once you learn and master the Saturn in Kritika? You become a disciplined leader, not loud, not ego driven, but powerful. You become sharp but controlled. You can speak truth without cruelty, correct without humiliating, lead without dominating, and that is rare strength. You build long term authority in life. Saturn and Kritika can create respected professionals, people who are managers, surgeons, people who help other people to groom in the fitness field, lawyers, reformers, teachers. Saturn in Kritika, how it impacts the love. Early love is ego battles. There are clashes. The pride interferes in the relationship. The criticism interferes in the relationship. There are power struggles. Love looks like competition, but the later on, love looks more stable, mature, loyal, and protective. The ego needs to be settled before the love comes into life. What kind of careers are suitable for you, because Saturn is the karaka of career, so you will thrive in any profession related to surgery, law, politics, defense. Also, you can be an entrepreneur, someone who is a leader in their own respective field. What is the shadow side of Saturn and Kritika? Harsh speech, very harsh speech, superiority complex, a lot of anger, controlling behavior, self criticism, burnout from ambition. So you need to use your fire responsibly. Saturn in Kritika doesn't weaken your fire, you have to train it. But the karmic lesson is simple: power without discipline is destruction, it destroys everything. Your soul is learning how to use your fire without burning yourself or anyone else. Let's talk about Saturn in the Rohini Nakshatra, the moon's nakshatra. What is the core karmic lesson here? It is about build security within, not through possession, not through running behind the material things and running behind people as safety. They are not your safety. You are your biggest safety. Rohini is ruled by moon. It is sensual, it's beautiful, magnetic, fertile, attractive, nurturing. It wants love, comfort, beauty, admiration, and more than anything else, emotional closeness. That gives a great sense of security, and even there is a need of material stability. Rohini likes to hold on to things. And now imagine Saturn, which is the planet of reality, detachment, restriction, is here in this nakshatra. This creates karmic lessons around attachment, insecurity, worth, and stability. What Rohini represents? Rohini is romantic. Its very energy is creative, beautiful, aesthetic, possessive about things, devoted to what they believe in, what they love, attached to what they love, and also they're emotionally hungry and they want to feel chosen in the life. They want to feel safe in life. They want to feel valued. What does Saturn does here in the Rohini? What Saturn wants, or what kind of challenges it is bringing? It shows that the love may come delayed in your life. Emotional security feels unstable in relationships. Financial stability takes a lot of time. Attachment leads to pain in connections. Even in family bonds, also, the attachment leads to difficulty. And self worth is always tested. Saturn here removes external security, so the person is forced to build internal security. What are the karmic lessons Saturn is bringing in the Rohini? Number one, you cannot base your worth on who chooses you. This is one of the biggest karmas. Rohini loves to feel adored. Saturn creates situations where affection is withdrawn, love is delayed, partners are distant, validation is inconsistent. So the lesson is that you are valuable enough when no one is praising you. Okay. Number two, attachment is not love. And that applies even in your family life. Rohini can become deeply attached emotionally and materially. Saturn brings separation, emotional coldness, financial discipline. Slowly, you will build relationships. Nothing grows here quickly. So, if your any part of life is real, whether it's love, whether it's financial structure, it needs a lot of patience. If it is meant to stay long for you, it is coming through patience only. Number three, material stability must be earned slowly. Rohini likes comfort in luxury. And Saturn here says no shortcuts, I will not allow dependency, and no relying on others for your lifestyle. This placement often creates slow financial growth, long term wealth. Number four, jealousy and possessiveness must be controlled, especially in relationships. Saturn here will test your trust, emotional maturity, and detachment. You don't own people, you align with them. What are the common life themes which comes with Saturn and Rohini? Number one, early emotional insecurity. Many Saturn and Rohini people may feel not chosen in childhood, feels the second best in the family or in the school. They compare themselves a lot. They crave reassurance. This really creates deep longing to be chosen. Number two, the love delays. There may be late marriage, emotionally unavailable partners are there, long waiting periods in romance or connections, feeling overlooked romantically. But once the stability comes, it's very solid in love and family life. Then we also see financial karma. This placement often gives money earned slowly, wealth through discipline. Also, there can be challenges with respect to the real estate or the property, and there's a lot of responsibility which you have with respect to taking care of the family assets as well. So it's not overnight success, it is structured growth and discipline. Then we also see body and self image issues or sensitivity, because Rohini is connected to beauty and attraction. So Saturn here can create body insecurity, fear of aging, fear of losing the attractiveness, comparison issues are there. Your beauty is not your currency. You need to know everyone will get old at one point of time. The Saturn's test in Rohini. Well, the Saturn is testing your relationships. Number one, you may experience silence instead of reassurance, delay instead of reward, distance instead of closeness. So, your reaction builds the karma, how you react to these things. Saturn's reward, if you learn the lessons well, you become emotionally stable, not needy, not insecure, not clingy in connections, but grounded. You build real wealth. Uh, you may own property. You may become a great investor, long term business builder, financial planner, artist. Even great artists can be seen with this placement with very good income. And with respect to relationships, you need to mature in love. You don't have to go for that attraction, that infatuation. Really focus on stable love. Saturn and Rohini, with respect to love, it can give a lot of jealousy in love connections, insecurity, fear of abandonment, chasing validation, like depending too much on your partner for feeling happy. But when the later the love arrives, it becomes stable marriage. It brings protective partner, it brings emotional maturity and deep loyalty in the connection. Of course, Saturn is Karaka of career, so the career with respect to displacement in Rohini can be about finance, banking, real estate, fashion, beauty, aesthetics, food business, agriculture, any kind of artistic work will also give you success. Now, what is the shadow aspect? The shadow aspect could be very obsessed with money, very clingy to relationships, even if the connection is toxic, you are clinging to that connection. Emotional manipulation just to hold on to the relationships, jealousy, hoarding valuable things and resources, insecurity also in the relationships is there. The Saturn's lesson is if you hold on to things too tightly, life will loosen your grip. You will lose things very quickly. Saturn in Rohini is like your soul is learning security that does not depend on anyone choosing you. You choose yourself. Let's look into the Saturn's placement in the Mrigashira Nakshatra. What is the core karmic lesson? The core karmic lesson is stop searching outside what you must build inside. Mrigashira means search. It's that deer's head. It is curious and sensitive and always scanning for threat, always scanning for purpose as well, always alert. The nervous system is over functioning. So it represents searching, questioning, internal curiosity, looking for safety, emotional uncertainty. It is about exploration and the movement, of course, ruled by Mars. It wants to find something, but it is rarely feeling satisfied. Now, when the Saturn gets into this energy of Mrigashira, Saturn demands focus. So this placement creates tension between, like, I want to explore everything and you must commit to one path, which is very frustrating. I want to have the taste of everything, but I have to go only on one path. How is that even possible? What Mrigashira represents is mental alertness, emotionally unsure, romantic but cautious, curious in love, adaptable, restless, easily bored, and it wants constant stimulation. Sometimes it wants real life answers, it wants options. It doesn't like to feel trapped in one place. What Saturn is doing here, it brings fear of making wrong decisions, difficulty in committing to things, anxiety about choosing, overthinking everything in life, lot of mental pressure and loneliness even in the family bonds, loneliness in the biggest crowd. This is a very thinking kind of placement. Very heavy thinkers come from this placement. What are the karmic lessons the Saturn is bringing? Number one, you cannot keep running from discomfort. Mrigashira likes movement. When uncomfortable, it shifts the focus. Saturn forces that you don't have to move, stay in that same situation, go through that discomfort, face that uncertainty, tolerate that boredom. Sitting with unanswered questions is a karmic lesson. Depth comes from staying, not wandering. You have to learn that. Number two, commitment builds stability. The placement often struggles with indecision in the career, hesitation in relationships, changing your goals frequently, starting but not finishing your work. And here the lesson becomes like, okay, pick one thing and build it, create something, and don't look for perfection every time. Third, it creates mental anxiety. And displacement makes one chronic overthinker, always thinking about worst case scenarios and deep analysis of everything with no solution. social anxiety and fear of judgment by people. And the karmic lesson is about discipline your thoughts through routine, through structure in life. Number four, stop seeking validation through attention, because Mrigashira enjoys being, attracting attention of people. They want to look not just physically but mentally also attractive. They want to be the most interesting thing. So Saturn may bring the feeling of being not noticed, not being appreciated. Their ideas are not being appreciated. The communication blocks here. Your value is not based on who listens. You must understand that. What are the common life themes? Delayed clarity. You may feel confused about your purpose, unsure about the direction in life. Slow to You're very slow to define your identity. Your identity takes a lot of time. The way you understand yourself. Clarity will come with age, and it makes one a late bloomer mentally. Number two, complicated love patterns, attraction to unavailable partners, and even the ones who are so risky, like diving into such zones which you know is risky, but you still go there to such people. Fear of settling down is also common with this. Emotional, inconsistent partners, and sometimes you may also be very inconsistent in the relationship. So there is always this need to find excitement in love, but Saturn wants you to choose stability. You may switch career as well. That is the third point. In the early life, you may have a lot of hobbies or interests, and you keep on switching from one field to another. The specialization comes later. The expertise may come later. Authority in one career may come later, because you may know a lot of things, but mastery is required at least in one skill set. The nervous system is very sensitive. That is the fourth point. Mrigashira, again, that alertness is very strong. And then you scan for, because Saturn creates the pressure here, so you scan for threats. It leads to sleep disturbance, digestive issues, headaches because of stress, anxious, restless mind. And the test the Saturn is asking you to perform in Mrigashira is, can you stop chasing things and start building something for real in life? It may create situations where options disappear, doors are closed, you're forced to choose, movement is restricted, and this feels uncomfortable, but it creates grounding for you. What are the Saturn's rewards if you learn these lessons? And that is, you become intellectually powerful. Your thoughts are not scattered. You're no longer anxious but focused in life. You become a master of your knowledge, your craft, and you can be a great researcher, analyst, writer, strategist, psychologist, astrologer, scholar. This gives a lot of success in these particular fields. And relationships will become more stable, where there is mental compatibility. Excitement is something which comes later, but there is maturity and stability in connection. The early love may look like questioning your feelings. There is uncertainty, there's fear of commitment, and you're always attracted to very complex kind of relationships which you know are very impractical. But later, the love looks like thoughtful partner, intellectual connection is very strong, strong communication, and emotional grounded connection. And with the career, I have already told you, you can also do very well in research. You can do very well in writing and creative fields, or any work connected to technology as well. What is the shadow side of your personality with this placement? Chronic overthinker, ghosting people emotionally, indecisiveness is also there, and sometimes you may act cold to others, And there's always some kind of dissatisfaction in life, and you think, with respect to your intelligence, you are superior than others. So sometimes you do not respect what others are saying. You don't have to seek for perfection. If you keep on doing that, you will never feel secure. With Saturn in Mrigashira, your soul is learning to focus. It is learning commitment and mental discipline through restlessness. Now let's talk about Saturn in the Ardra Nakshatra and what is the core karmic lesson which comes with this placement. Well, you must rebuild yourself after every challenge you witness. You can't be in that state for long, because Ardra is known for emotional challenges, the emotional highs and lows. So you must rebuild yourself after every emotional storm you experience. Ardra is ruled by Shiva, the Rudra form, which is about that chaos, the inner chaos. It needs to be channeled, it needs to be dealt with, and it represents grief, it represents chaos, and a lot of emotional intensity, trauma, breakdown, tears. And through those tears, how you release everything, and then the transformation happens after the crisis. Ardhara energy doesn't avoid pain. Saturn says, don't avoid pain, deal with it, go through it. Here, Saturn creates long lasting emotional storms that shape your life and your maturity. What Ardra represents? See, Ardra is the very energy of emotional extremes. It is highly reactive nakshatra because of the Rahu ruling over it. It's psychologically deep, and it makes one intense thinker and also rebellious. Wounded, yet you are powerful. It is a storm of uh, emotional chaos before the clarity arrives. And of course, Ardhara breaks and destroys the illusions. So, what Saturn will do here? Well, it can break, it can break, oh God, it can bring early traumatic experiences in life, emotional overwhelm, emotional loss, sudden life changes, family instability, depressive periods in life, and also feeling misunderstood. This placement can feel heavy, but it builds psychological strength like no other. The Saturn's karmic lessons in Ardhara. Number one, pain is not your identity, because Ardhara feels very deeply. Saturn may bring heartbreak, betrayal, emotional abandonment, humiliation, sudden endings. The lesson is that your trauma, your challenges, is just a chapter of life, not your personality, not your destiny. Number two, control emotional reactions. Ardhara can react impulsively when hurt. So Saturn teaches emotional regulation, measured responses, restrain in anger. Not, you don't have to destroy yourself with your anger. You know how you take actions while you're angry. This is where you have to work the most. And calm during chaos. How to calm down even when things are not okay. The lesson is power is quiet. Okay, you don't have to show anger all the time, and in that anger you go through those self-destructive challenges. Number three, let go of the victim mentality. This is quite important, because Saturn and Ardhara can create a narrative of like, why does this always happen to me? And my life is unfair, my destiny is unfair, people always hurt me. So Saturn teaches take responsibility for rebuilding your life. And that is the fourth point, rebuild after loss. Life may repeatedly create endings, separations, or emotional collapse, or sudden, you have to restructure your life suddenly, because you might be in that position to do it. This placement learns resilience and strength through repetition of certain lessons. The lesson is that you are stronger than your collapse. What are the common life themes with this placement? First is emotional upheaval in early life. This may be like unstable home environment, strict or emotionally distant authority in life. It could even be the father figure. There can be family crisis, there can be sudden loss, and this creates emotional toughness quite early. Then we have intense mental patterns because Ardra is highly intelligent and intellectual. So Saturn here may create negativity like pessimism, dark thoughts, obsessive thinking, or mental isolation and over analysis of your pain and your problems. So the mind becomes that full of storms. Then we also have social alienation. Like many Saturn and Ardra natives feel different, misunderstood, and emotional distance from the people around. And this builds independence. Then we have relationship turbulence. Love may feel dramatic, unstable, karmic, transformative. Early relationships can collapse suddenly. Later ones stabilize after maturity. And what is the test of Saturn in Ardra? Can you stay composed and calm even when things are falling apart? It creates situations where your plans may collapse, someone may leave, stability breaks, expectations shatter. Now, your reaction determines your growth in these situations. So, if you master the lessons of Saturn, what is the Saturn's reward? You become psychologically powerful. You understand human pain deeply. You are not naive. You have more maturity. And you are realistic without getting bitter in life. You become emotionally unshakable. After surviving multiple challenges, small problems don't scare you. You become someone who manages the crisis very properly. So, uh, you can do very well when it comes to profession. You can do very well as a psychologist or someone who works brilliantly in the field of innovation and technology, investigative work, research work. You can become a therapist or a trauma specialist, and also careers like crisis management, forensic work, investigative roles. Even in the occult sciences, you will prosper very wonderfully. What happens with Saturn and Ardra with respect to love? The early love brings betrayal, sudden breakups, emotionally challenging connections, and very intense attachment in love. Later, the love is all about stable partner, deep emotional understanding, quite loyalty is there, and the connection, the communication is quite mature. And the lesson the Saturn wants you to teach is stop loving chaos, chaotic people, start loving stability. Early, you may attract chaotic partners, you're drawn to chaotic people. What is the shadow side of Saturn and Ardra? A very chronic victim mentality, and one can become very manipulative in nature. Cold detachment in relationships may happen, and even it can give revenge and resentment kind of mindset that I need to take revenge. So, this is challenging with this placement. And Saturn in Ardra is not here to, punish you. It is here to test how you rebuild after everything breaks. And your soul is also learning resilience, emotional control, and strength, which comes in life after facing challenges. Let's talk about Saturn in Punarvasu Nakshatra. What is the core karmic lesson with this placement? It's about learning to rebuild your wisdom, not with blind faith or blind optimism, but to learn where you failed, to learn where you are lacking something, and to rebuild that area of life. Punarvasu represents the return of light. It is renewal, it's hope, it's the second chances in life. It is about optimism, it is about forgiveness, that it carries the wisdom and the expansion of Jupiter, and it brings the belief that things will always get better and improve. And Saturn here definitely tests that faith that things will improve in life. And you have to come back again to the faith that things will get better. You have to create that belief system. Punarvasu represents forgiveness, hopeful nature. It is adaptable, highly philosophical, generous, kind, resilient, and spiritually inclined. Even if it believes that um, even if things will fail in my life, something better will come out always. So it's always about going back to the positive. What Saturn is doing here. So Saturn in Punarvasu creates a life path where second chances are repeated. Mistakes repeat until lessons are learned. Forgiveness becomes a karmic theme that you have to forgive people and situations. Again and again, you have to do that. Optimism gets tested by the reality of life. Faith is challenged by delays happening. So it creates this cycle of initiation and then collapse, and then you restart things and you rebuild things until unless you become mature. What are the karmic lessons of what kind of lessons Saturn is bringing? Karmic lessons when it is in Punarvasu. The first one is stop repeating the same lesson. That it will always give you this cycle, as I mentioned, start and then collapse and then restart and rebuild. It gives repetitive patterns in life and you have to learn from them. If you don't learn from them, they keep on repeating. So Punarvasu brings second chances, which is the blessing of Jupiter. And in these chances, the Saturn is always asking, are you forgiving wisely? Or are you tolerating the nonsense of others? Are you learning from your past mistakes or not? Forgiveness without boundaries is like self destruction. Forgive people, but you need to have boundaries as well. Then we have faith must be practical. This placement can give um, this need of depending a lot on this belief system that if I try this again and again, maybe it will work out for me. Giving chances to people that okay, this person will change at one point of time, or things will happen magically and everything will be fixed by itself. That is great. Hope is great, but you must take actions. Life will offer you second chances, and hope is great, faith is great, but you need to take actions as well. And too much of opportunities to others when they are doing wrong, you cannot do that. It brings failure. Then we also have rebuilding is a responsibility. Life may create repeated restarts, relocation may happen, career resets may happen, relationship renewals may happen. Each rebuild must be stronger than the last. Then also we have learn to close doors properly, because Saturn forces permanent closures, realistic endings, and cutting all the false hope in life. So, lesson is some chapters are not meant to restart. Ending means final ending. What are the common life themes? Number one, repeated relationship cycles, same kind of relationship dynamics, and you forgive people too easily. And then the past partners are coming back again and again, and you forgive them, and they hurt you in the same way. And can't understand the red flags. Like you always try to fill in the gaps by creating a story where you have to see things for what they are. And Saturn is testing, will you choose growth over nostalgia? It also gives career restarts early in life. You how the career will be like switching the professional fields again and again, restarting your education, feeling like there's some block in the education and I have to go back again to make things better, learn for something new to make my career proper. So direction is a struggle in the career, like which path is right. Then we also have moral and ethical tests of Saturn because, of course, Jupiter is ruling this nakshatra. So this placement often, deals with truth versus comfort, honesty versus convenience, faith versus reality, and Saturn always enforces maturity over here. It always forces to go for the truth and the honest things in life. Then there's also family karma. So it is about family duties, burden of family duties, responsibility towards mother, relocation of your home. And of course, it also shows ancestral karmic cycles which you are also going through. What is the Saturn's test in Punarvasu? It is testing, can you learn from the past instead of romanticizing it? It creates situations where someone returns. An old opportunity reappears. The same lesson resurfaces. Your choice will determine the karma. What choice you take when something returns in the same manner. And if you master this energy or Saturn in Punarvasu, you master the lessons. The reward is you become wise and balanced, not blindly optimistic, even not pessimistic. You are grounded and hopeful. You become a teacher through experience. Saturn and Punarvasu can create spiritual teachers, counselors, advisors, writers, educators, philosophers, people who guide others through rebuilding. You build lasting stability after chaos. Once you learn the lesson, life becomes much calmer. Saturn and Punarvasu will give a love, early love, where you forgive people too much. You may go back to the past relationships again and again. Even the past partners come back again and again to test you. And it is about also in love, you tend to spiritualize the pain, like it has some meaning, and also giving multiple chances to people. The later love is stable, mature, value based, and aligned. The lesson is don't confuse familiarity with, okay, this is destined for me. If someone is familiar, that person is always good for you. That is not the truth. And I have mentioned how the career will be. You are in the position of giving advice, counseling, teaching to other people. You can do very well in spiritual works. You can do very good in writing and healing works as well, publishing works as well. And of course, success comes after repeated mistakes. You will learn from that. The shadow aspect, if the lessons are not well learned, the shadow aspect of this placement is repeating toxic cycles in love and even career. Too much of optimism or too much of expectations, and someone who avoids confrontation, living in the good memories always and not focusing on present, feeling way above than others all the time, and always not learning from the lessons. That is the thing which comes from this placement. And Saturn and Punarvasu is teaching a very powerful lesson that second chances are sacred, but it might not be infinite kind of chances. So make the best use of every opportunity. Let's talk about Saturn in the Pushya nakshatra. What's the core karmic lesson? It's to learn to nurture others without ignoring yourself, without neglecting yourself. Pushya means to nourish, to sustain, to support life. And it is ruled by Jupiter. It has a great essence of Jupiter, though it's the nakshatra of Saturn, but such a beautiful influence of the Brihaspati. So it is about the nourishment, the capacity to nourish and care for something. So the Pushya's energy naturally wants to care for others, provide emotional support, build stability, protect family, create security. But here Saturn brings heavy responsibility in that caretaking role or the nurturing role of yours. What Pushya represents is it is about again nourishment. Number one, since it's a Saturn's nakshatra, so it represents the duties, the duty oriented work. It could be something where you are not just putting efforts, but emotionally you are a giver. It shows responsibility, becoming more disciplined, and becoming more traditional. So it's the overall energy of someone who is a caretaker or the one who nourishes and protect people. What does Saturn does here? Saturn and Pushya often create lives where responsibility may come quite early and the family duties may feel heavy. Emotional maturity starts developing at a very young age when things are so difficult to even understand. The person becomes the strong one and people depend on them. This placement can create someone who is the very pillar of the family, but it is not so easy. Saturn's karmic lessons in Pushya is number one, stop carrying everyone's emotional burden. People with this placement often become the family's problem solver, the support system, especially the emotional support system, the responsible sibling or the responsible daughter or son, and the person everyone relies on. So Saturn teaches here support others without becoming their foundation. Okay. Number two, duty must not replace happiness. Pushya values responsibility, but Saturn can make life feel like constant obligation, like staying in jobs only for security, sacrificing personal dreams for the sake of security of others, choosing duty over joy constantly. So lesson is responsibility is important, but so is your personal fulfillment. Number three, there's a lesson of having emotional boundaries because you may give a lot, a tendency of giving a lot emotionally. So Saturn will test here, will you overgive to others? Are you sacrificing your peace for others? Will you become emotionally drained? And the lesson is care does not mean self neglect. Then authority through your own strength, like Pushya produces such people who have this natural instinct. I must become the guide, I must become the teacher, which is great. It gives you the very ethical behavior, it makes you someone reliable, it makes you someone who is consistent. But with time again there is this need for boundaries. You may have a very natural authority and people may come to you as well, but you might be authority for others, but what about your inner authority, your inner strength, the charge you have on your life? That is where the authority should be strong. What kind of common life themes you may witness? As I said, early family responsibility. Many Saturn and Pushya natals may experience, being the responsible child. Maybe you might be the one who is the eldest child and the responsible child, supporting parents emotionally, and then you are managing family problems, acting mature before time, and this makes you feel older than your age. Then also it shows you have to focus a lot on your career, you have to work a lot on the stability of the profession, because this placement will make you seek security in the career and reliable income, stable position. Risk taking may feel very uncomfortable in the career path, especially in the early years, and you seek long term growth. And then also with this placement, the common life theme is emotional suppression, because you carry responsibility and that may suppress your very own feelings. This can create a lot of heaviness, loneliness, internal pressure, and the world sees the strength but not your burden. Then also with this, there's a theme of respect comes later. The recognition may come slowly, but when it arrives, it is based on trust and reputation. People with this placement are known for their reliability, and I think that is something valued in the career as well. What is the Saturn's test in Pushya? Can you again nurture others without losing yourself? Situations may arise where people rely on you too much. Family responsibilities may limit your freedom. Emotional labor becomes overwhelming. So, this really tests your boundaries. If mastered these lessons, Saturn's reward is you become a pillar of stability. People trust you deeply. Your presence brings structure and safety. You become a wise person, a wise guide for other people. You can become a mentor, teacher, spiritual guide, a counselor, a leader, or a family protector, people who sustain others. You build stable success, strong financial security in life, respected in your profession, long term stability. With respect to love, this placement in the early years of life shows when it comes to love, you may choose responsibility over romance. It shows you might be emotionally very guarded and feeling very obligated in relationships. You kind of take the emotional burden of the other person as well, like two people's burden carried by one person. And in the later years, the love looks like stable partnership, loyal partner, supportive and a nurturing bond do exist in the relationship. In the career, you can thrive in any work connected to teaching, again, becoming a mentor, being in a healing profession, finance, agriculture, anything spiritual, even administrative or management roles will be quite good for you. What is the shadow side of this placement? It shows self sacrifices for the loved ones, which is okay, but it's too much of that. It shows suppression of your own emotions, feeling numb, but that numbness is not, I'm okay, it's just that you're suppressing a lot. And also, it can lead to a habit of controlling other people, family members as well. It could be sacrificing personal happiness. It can be two extremes. Either you're too sacrificing or you're too controlling. A very rigid way of living, a rigid way of belief system, overworking for security, which may already exist but still worried about losing it. So Saturn in Pushya creates the caretakers of the world, but the karmic lesson is don't forget to nourish yourself while feeding everyone else. Let's talk about Saturn in Ashlesha Nakshatra. What's the core karmic lesson? Use your mind power with integrity, with responsibility. Ashlesha is ruled by Mercury and it is symbolized by the serpent. It represents the psychological work, your psychological insight, your mind, the emotional control. It is about manipulation, but also the strategy. It's about hidden motives, secrets, hypnotic influence, deep intuition. Ashlesha energy can read people extremely well, but Saturn here is asking, will you use that insight, that power wisely or manipulatively? No, I'm not telling you that you're manipulative, but manipulation is the shadow aspect of Ashlesha. And intelligence, the wisdom is also a gift for Ashlesha, which is a very beautiful, bright factor for the Ashlesha. So, how you use it responsibly, right? What Ashlesha represents, Ashlesha is the greatest observer, someone who can be intelligent and strategic, but also suspicious. There's always this psychological warfare going on deep within the mind. It's complex. Someone who can be secretive, someone who can be, who is dealing with trust issues. And though it's said they're not emotional, but there is deep emotion, emotionally sensitive. It's a very strong quality. What Saturn is doing here? Saturn in Ashlesha often creates lives where trust becomes a major theme, betrayal lessons appear constantly, emotional control becomes important, power dynamics appear in relationships, hidden fears surface from time to time. Saturn forces the native to confront the shadow aspect very strongly. What are the karmic lessons coming from Saturn in Ashlesha? Number one, it is the control versus manipulation. Ashlesha knows how to influence situations. Saturn is testing. Will you manipulate emotionally? Will you control people through guilt? Will you use psychological insight ethically, responsibly? The lesson is the true power does not require manipulation. You have such powerful mind, you can do wonders. You need not to rewrite the truth in situations. Number two, trust issues must be healed because Ashlesha senses hidden motives, and sometimes it's more than that, it becomes imaginary as well. So, Saturn here may create suspicion, um, difficulty in trusting others, very guarded emotionally, paranoia about betrayal also. So, discernment is something which is good, but constant suspicion is not so healthy. This is where you have to focus. Number three is a tricky point. Stop internalizing hurt. It becomes a poison. Okay? Stop internalizing difficult situations. It creates so much of suppressed resentment, grudges, emotional toxicity, holding on to the past and past betrayals, what others said to you. Release that poison instead of carrying it deep within. Then it is also about learning emotional transparency because Ashlesha prefers secrecy. Saturn forces situations where secrets are exposed, hidden feelings come out, emotional honesty becomes so mandatory. You have to be authentic before you build anything in life. So, authenticity is important rather than controlling situations. What are the common life themes with this placement of Saturn in Ashlesha? It gives, number one, a very complex family life, complex family connections. There may be hidden tensions in family, emotional manipulation within the household. Like for some people, it's also the mother, which can be so difficult. The connection can be so complex with the mother or the even relatives. There is secrecy or unspoken issues. So this creates early psychological threats when the people in the household are not so supportive or they create tensions. It gives strong intuition. Saturn here can develop deep understanding of human behavior and the ability to read the ideas and the motives of people. So again, that psychological insight is very strong. Many people with this placement become excellent analysts of human nature. Then we also have the emotional guardedness, like protecting yourself all the time, and that stops you from meeting the people with depth. The natives may appear calm externally, but internally they process everything much deeper than any other nakshatra. They often, observe before trusting, test people constantly in relationships quietly, and so sometimes it is like testing other people, but uh, it reaches to great limits. Like constant testing in relationships also bring failures here, and they keep their emotions private. Then the power dynamics in the relationships are challenged. Relationships may involve emotional control games, jealousy, secrecy, manipulative patterns. So that is challenging. What is the Saturn's test in Ashlesha? How will you respond in life? With wisdom, with fear, with resentment or controlling the situation. Situations may arise where someone betrays your trust. Power struggles occur, and then you start trying to control the narrative. Emotional manipulation appears in life. What is the Saturn's reward if you master the tests of Saturn? You become psychologically wise. You understand human motives and nature very well. You understand emotional patterns. Even you can read subconscious minds. So it gives a very better understanding of human mind, but without fear. You're not in the fear of what others might do. You may become emotionally powerful without manipulation. Your influence through your presence and your intelligence will be outstanding. In order to be safe, you need not to control others. Your mind is equally powerful and so enough that you don't have to be in control of situations or controlling people. Your mind is enough to make you stand beautifully in front of others and to be successful. And yeah, I'm getting chaotic because we're talking about Ashlesha. And you can develop profound intuitive insight. This can make someone great researcher, healer, investigator, or maybe a psychologist as well. Someone who is even into astrology or occult as well. What Saturn does in love here in Ashlesha. The early love comes with a lot of jealousy or emotional games, fear of, being vulnerable. Trust issues are certainly there. And the later the love arrives is about emotionally honest partnerships, deep psychological connection, and there's loyalty and maturity. Love grows through openness, not control. In the career, it may give sometimes a setback or stagnation, but that is not forever. But sometimes it brings situations where you feel the shock. It gives success in medicine and even anything which requires management, a crisis management, where a strategy is required, research is required, investigation is required. It's a very good placement. The shadow aspect of Saturn we already discussed, and that is trying to control things through manipulation, changing the ideas of trying to change the ideas and the mindset of people. It shows passive aggression, resentment, revenge mindset, holding on to secrets, controlling people and relationships, suspicion of everyone. So it is more of using your mind power destructively, and it will further isolate you. Saturn in Ashlesha is literally, it gives you the power to read people deeply. But the karmic lesson is that insight is powerful only when you use it with responsibility. Let's talk about Saturn in the Magha Nakshatra and how it functions. So, what are the core karmic lessons? Earn respect through humility. Earn respect by becoming your most confident one, but also someone who is connected to people in a beautiful way. You are responsible towards your life, you're responsible towards others also. You are serious and responsible to other people's life as well, because see, Saturn is responsibility, Magha is also responsibility. So humility, which is the humbleness and the responsibility towards people, is very important. Humility versus entitlement. This is the struggle of Saturn in Magha. Magha is ruled by Ketu. We know this connects to ancestors and the lineage. It is about heritage, royalty. Magha is authority, pride, legacy. It is about connection to ancestors, but also in today's modern world, Magha is connected to the people around you. How you are respecting people. You don't have to be a slave to others, no. But you don't have to also be someone who dictates everything. So, meeting people with responsibility, Magha energy naturally connects to status, dignity, and recognition. Saturn enters this nakshatra and it creates karmic lessons around ego, entitlement, and leadership. Magha represents the need to be very happy with who you are, becoming very dignified but also traditional, becoming more authoritative in life, but using that authority with responsibility. You may have the burden of legacy to continue the legacy. So what Saturn is doing here, respect you, what you are learning with the Saturn in Magha is that respect must be earned slowly. Your authority is being tested. How humble you are, your pride may be humbled here. You may have a lot of family or ancestral responsibilities and leadership, the strength of your leadership, that recognition develops through struggle. Saturn here removes all the false pride, and it makes you earn authority in life with struggle. What kind of karmic lessons the Saturn is bringing in Magha? First one is let go of the entitlement. Magha can feel naturally deserving of recognition, and Saturn creates situations where appreciation is delayed, or you deserve something, but that thing is being withheld, or that recognition is not being given to you. There's a block in that. Authority of yours must be proven. You need to prove yourself. So these are some things which you need to learn. And then number two, honor your ancestors without being controlled by them. And also that same applies for the family life. This placement often connects strongly to family legacy, the family or ancestral expectations, and the cultural traditions. Respect the past, but do not live trapped into that past. Then also it requires service, like you become a leader, you become authority, but you have to give something to others. You have to provide service to others. So Saturn is saying leadership requires discipline. Authority requires accountability, and the power must serve others. A true leader serves the people they lead. Then humility builds real power. Saturn often humbles this placement early in life with rejection, loss of status, criticism, even conflict with people who are in authority. So this kind of refines the ego, and the humility strengthens your leadership. What kind of common life themes you may experience? Number one, early conflicts with authority. Many Saturn and Magha natives experiences clashes with father figures, strict family expectations, and pressure to uphold the family reputation. Like the entire burden of family reputation lies on you. This creates deep reflection about identity. Who am I and what am I supposed to do? Then we have delayed recognition in life. It may come later than expected. Early life may feel like working without appreciation, feeling overlooked, efforts are being overlooked, struggling to establish your authority. But once the success arrives, it's long lasting. Then you have ancestral responsibility. This placement may bring responsibility towards family lineage, inheriting family duties, um, protecting your family reputation, and also dissolving the ancestral karma. Magha strongly connects to lineage, as I told you. Then inner pride versus the self-doubt. Saturn creates tension between strong internal pride and fear of not being good enough. So balance, you have to create a balanced confidence here. What are the Saturn's test in Magha? Number one, can you lead with integrity even when the recognition is delayed? Can you lead others with confidence even when the success is delayed? Your authority is challenged. Your leadership will be questioned. Respect will be earned but later. Or constantly you have to earn your respect. What is the Saturn's reward when you master the lessons of Saturn here? You become a very respected leader and authority through your discipline and responsibility, not ego. You build a lasting legacy. You become influential leader or administrator or entrepreneur or a community figure. You will heal ancestral karma. You will restore the family honor. You will build a new legacy, and you will break unhealthy karmic patterns of your ancestors or your family, something which is constantly being repeated in the family lineage, and it's not healthy. What does Saturn do in Magha with respect to love? The early love looks like lots of dominance and dominating others, being getting dominated, ego clashes, power struggles. There is a lot of pride involved in the relationships. Later, the love looks like beautiful family foundation and bonding, mutual respect, and loyal partnership. What kind of careers the Saturn in Magha is bringing for you? Leadership roles, politics, administration, business, becoming entrepreneurs. What is the shadow side of displacement, if not mastered? Displacement, if not well handled? Arrogance, entitlement, superiority complex, obsession with status, money, authority, controlling other people's life, living only for reputation, dominance, trying to dominate other people's journey, their decisions as well. So the humiliation becomes a very strong factor. Like small things may look like humiliation here. So Saturn in Magha teaches one thing very very beautifully, that authority is not inherited, it needs to be earned. You may have a family, people around who are having authority, but it is not something which you may get automatically. You have to work towards earning that authority in life. Let's talk about Saturn in Purva Phalguni Nakshatra. What is the core karmic lesson with this placement when Saturn sits in this nakshatra of Venus? Learning to balance pleasure versus responsibility. Venus, as you know, primary ruler, and Venus is about pleasure here. So it represents romance, pleasure, sensuality, a sense of relaxation, creativity, artistic expression. And this nakshatra is basically the joy of life, enjoying simple pleasures of life. It values that relaxation, that pleasure, that beauty, celebration, and comfort. But here, Saturn introduces limits and discipline in these areas. Purva Phalguni energy is very charming, romantic, expressive, pleasure loving, and Saturn brings very serious limits to these things, or Saturn kind of blocks you from your own artistic abilities or blocks in social life. So, what Saturn is doing here in Purva Phalguni, it creates a life path where the pleasure feels restricted early in life. Okay, being denied of pleasure feels restricted and early in life, and later in life when you get pleasure you feel disappointed, you can't enjoy it. Romance involves karmic lessons. Creative expression require discipline. You might be very creative, you might be wonderful, but without discipline, without being consistent, things don't grow for you. Indulgence leads to difficult consequences. So handle pleasure responsibly. What are the Saturn's karmic lessons in Purva Phalguni? Number one, pleasure requires discipline. As we know, Purva Phalguni enjoys entertainment, relaxation, romance, and luxury. And Saturn is testing these things, that you need to be in moderation. Enjoy life, but don't lose control of it. Romantic karma. Number two, relationship may involve delayed love, complicated romantic experiences, partners who teach emotional maturity, even dealing with narcissistic people. Love is deeper than attraction. The grass is greener on the other side, but when you go there, it's the most terrible thing you might have seen. So reality in love, not that passion attraction, but what's beyond that, that is the romantic karma. Then we have creative work requires effort. This placement often gives strong creative potential, but Saturn says talent must be developed with time. Creativity must be practiced. Artistic success requires discipline. Inspiration may is great thing, but it requires the consistent work. Self-worth must not depend on the attention you get through family or love or partners. Saturn may create situations where validation is important for you, but it may not come consistently. Recognition in life, despite of doing great, is delayed because somehow you are depending on others to verify that okay you are doing good. So until unless you stop doing that, the success will be also blocked. Your popularity also fluctuates with this placement. What are the common life themes? Delayed romantic satisfaction. Early love may feel dramatic, disappointing, unstable. Later relationships become more mature and stable. Balancing work and enjoyment is important. Displacement may struggle between responsibility and desire for the leisure, and you must learn to integrate both in life equally. There can be creative blocks, creative frustration, because you already have certain creative ideas or artistic talents, but they may require consistent work to make it better, to have that recognition. Your reputation and your social image become so important for you. You want to be visible in the world, but Saturn may bring lessons around maintaining your dignity, avoiding scandals, protecting your personal reputation is important. What is the Saturn's test in Purva Phalguni? Can you enjoy life without losing discipline? Situations may happen where pleasure distracts you from responsibility. Relationships challenge emotional maturity. Creativity requires sustained effort. The choice determines the karmic growth. If you master the lessons of Saturn, what reward the Saturn is bringing for you? You become a disciplined creator. This placement can produce artists, performers, designers, writers, creative entrepreneurs, people who turn creativity into long term success. With respect to love, you will build stable and mature relationships. Remember that the core foundation of love is not based on attraction, a stimulation. Love will become loyal, respectful, emotionally balanced, not chaotic or purely pleasure based. You develop grace with respect to your leadership as well. People, you will become more refined in your influence with time. And the early love is little disappointing, attracting to very unstable partners who can't even offer stability, but later you see committed partnerships and emotionally supportive relationships. The attraction is replaced by emotionally supportive relationships. Okay. And the career, as I mentioned, anything in creativity, music, fine arts, luxury brands, any kind of designer, event management, entertainment, fashion, anything related to Venus. What is the shadow side if this placement is not handled well? A lot of indulgence, laziness, seeking validation constantly, unstable relationships, a lot of vanity. Vanity means, very obsessed with how you look, how you think you are way above than others. You live a luxury life and others are not that great. That kind of comparison happens. And Saturn warns you, if pleasure controls you, discipline will return through consequences. So it teaches a powerful lesson that pleasure is beautiful, but it must be guided by discipline. Your soul is learning to balance enjoyment, creativity, and responsibility. Let's talk about Saturn in the Uttara Phalguni Nakshatra. Now, Uttara Phalguni is a part of the Phalguni Nakshatra. It connects to the Purva Phalguni, where the Purva Phalguni was about initiation of love, attraction, intimacy. Uttara Phalguni is the commitment which comes after the initiation of attraction. Here, the core karmic lesson is to honor the commitment without losing yourself and your integrity. It is about commitment versus obligation in contracts, relationships. It's about long-term responsibility in relationships. It's about alliances. It's about the duty you owe to the world, to your work, to your relationships. It represents generosity and protection. So Purva Phalguni was about initiation of connections, relationships, and Uttara Phalguni sustains them with the duty and commitment. And this nakshatra is deeply connected to the values of sun, which is being honorable, honoring relationships, becoming protective, responsible, loyal in the connections in life as well. And overall, Uttara Phalguni is the serious energy. After all that love, all that pleasure, a person starts becoming more committed. So the Saturn in this nakshatra of sun wants to make you honor whatever you have in life, honor the connections, and show up seriously in certain areas of life. What Saturn is doing here in Uttara Phalguni, it creates a life path where commitments may sometimes feel heavy, partnerships involve karmic duty, marriage may be delayed or serious. In the career also, there are struggles with authority, your responsibilities are a lot, they increase with time, and your loyalty in different areas of life is being tested. Overall, it is you versus the world, you versus the people, and in this process you learn a lot through them about maturity. What other Saturn's karmic lessons in the Uttara Phalguni? One, commitment requires effort. Nothing is casual over here. Saturn teaches commitment must be maintained, loyalty must be demonstrated, partnerships require responsibility. And the lesson is love is sustained through responsibility. Avoid staying in relationships out of obligation. Those relationships might be hollow. Those relationships might be where you are so committed and the other person is not doing anything, or you're staying in certain places or careers or family expectations where it's just because you're living there for expectation, not because you're happy over there. So you may have this sense of obligation that I have to face these social expectations, the promises being made, the family pressure you are going through. So where your heart is not there, it's difficult to stay in those places, and out of obligation, no relationship sustains like that. And then also honor your agreements. This nakshatra strongly connects to the contracts. So Saturn tests the integrity through situations involving business agreements, partnerships, and promises. Your word becomes your reputation. What you say becomes your commitment. Balance self and partnership. Uttara Phalguni naturally supports others, and the Saturn test whether the native can support others without losing independence, maintain identity within the partnerships, not losing yourself in that. And the common life themes. Number one, serious relationship karma is there. Relationship may involve long-term commitments, karmic partners, duty towards spouse or partner. Marriage often becomes a significant life responsibility. They can be delayed but stable marriage. Early relationships may feel heavy, complicated, responsibility driven, but later relationships often become stable and enduring. and the responsibility towards family or community is actually quite huge. This relationship, this is all about relationship. This nakshatra, how you cater the other people. So this placement can bring roles like you become the mediator in the family disputes, responsible partner, responsible even parent figure. You may become a responsible parent figure. You become the protector of the relationships. Others may rely a lot on your support and your decision making. Also, professional partnerships matter here. Professional contracts matter a lot here, where you have to work in a very committed way and others rely a lot on you. What is a Saturn's test in Uttara Phalguni? Can you remain loyal and responsible even when relationships become challenging? Situations may arise where commitment feels burdensome, partners require support, responsibilities are testing your patience, and the responsibility defines the maturity here, the karmic change you have to go through. Now, what if you master the Saturn's lessons here? It rewards you with powerful partnerships in love, in even at work. People trust your loyalty and reliability. Your relationships become stable and long lasting. You develop strong professional alliances. Saturn in Uttara Phalguni can produce business leaders, lawyers, diplomats, advisors, consultants, negotiators, and you become a very respected figure in relationships and public life. Your word carries weight and your integrity builds long term respect. With respect to love, Saturn in Uttara Phalguni brings early love where there is serious commitment, there is relationship pressure and responsibility in the partnership. Later, the love looks like loyal, stable marriage, mutual respect, and support. Early love looks like you carry the entire burden or you feel very overwhelmed by the burden in relationship. So partnership thrives through responsibility and honesty. The careers, as I have mentioned, also like despite of being administrator or lawyer or someone who is working in the field of anything connected to public life also will give you success. A work in the government sector, even politics, that is also going to give you success. What is the shadow side of this nakshatra when the lessons are not learned and the energy of Saturn is not well handled? Staying in unhealthy relationships because of duty, controlling partners, dealing with controlling partners, or even you trying to control the situation, sacrificing your personal identity for the love, for the relationship, for people, rigid expectations of loyalty on your hand. Like you may have a lot of rigid expectations with respect to loyalty. Commitment without freedom becomes burden, and this applies to you and your partnerships, for the people who come into your life. Saturn in Uttara Phalguni is your soul is learning integrity, responsibility, and maturity through commitments and partnerships. Let's talk about Saturn in the Hasta nakshatra. What is the core karmic lesson of yours when Saturn sits in this moon's nakshatra? Master your skills through patience instead of trying to control and micromanaging everything. Because Hasta is ruled by moon and we all know symbolized by the hand, and the hand tries to have control over everything instead of having patience in life. Hasta represents manual skills. It also represents communication skills, the crafts you will create in life, not just those artistic crafts, but anything which you do from your hands. That's the craftsmanship. and manifesting what you desire. It's about intelligence, it's also about control, skill development, the ability to grasp opportunities. So, Hasta is the power to shape your life. It is the power to shape your reality with your hands and mind. Hasta is the energy of skill, cleverness, being adaptable but also detail oriented, capable of doing great things with your hands as well. It's a nakshatra which enjoys creating, fixing, organizing, and perfecting things. So, what does Saturn is doing here? Saturn in Hasta often creates life path where skill must be developed slowly. If you try to hurry here, everything collapses. Perfectionism becomes a challenge. Control over situations is tested. Practical mastery requires discipline. Discipline, structure, being consistent. That is what is important. Saturn really slows the cleverness of Hasta here so that the true expertise can develop. No shortcuts with this placement. What are the Saturn's karmic lessons in Hasta? Number one, let go of the excessive control. Hasta likes to control situations and outcomes, and Saturn creates situations where plans don't go perfectly, results take longer than expected, external circumstances interfere in your life. The lesson is control what you can, but learn patience with what you cannot. Then perfectionism can become a prison. Many Saturn and Hasta natives struggle with being overly critical of themselves, fear of making mistakes, delaying projects until everything feels perfect. Saturn teaches progress is more powerful than perfection. Then develop skill through discipline. Hasta has a natural talent, but Saturn requires patience, repetition, and practice. Long term, you have to refine your skills. So talent becomes mastery only through effort and discipline. Then use your intelligence with humility. Hasta is mentally sharp and quick, and Saturn is testing whether the intelligence is used responsibly, patiently, and constructively. What are the common life themes? Number one, slow skill development. Early life may involve feeling not skilled enough, struggling to master abilities, frustration with slow progress, but later life brings exceptional craftsmanship and expertise. Number two, work related stress. Because of the drive for perfection, this placement may create work pressure, burnout from a lot of efforts, anxiety about going wrong and doing mistakes. Learning balance is essential. And control in relationships might be very important factor here. In relationships, the native may try to manage situations, overthink about emotional dynamics, want things their way, wants everything to be done in their own way. And Saturn here teaches flexibility and trust. Nervous energy. Hasta's mental activity combined with the Saturn's pressure can produce restlessness, worry about details, overthinking small issues. Grounding practices will help you a lot with this. What is the Saturn's test in Hasta? Can you continue improving your craft even when the progress is slow? Situations may arise where skills require constant practice. Mistakes must be corrected patiently. Discipline becomes necessary for success. The test is persistence without frustration. Once you master the lessons of Saturn, what is the Saturn's reward? Number one, you become highly skilled. This placement can produce people with extraordinary skill set. Their work becomes precise and respected. Number two, you develop practical intelligence. You understand how systems work and how to improve them, like knowing all the basics and the detail, and that makes you an expert. Number three, you build a reputation for reliability. People trust your work, your attention to every detail. What about love? Hasta love. Saturn, how it challenges or helps in the love story. See, in the early love or the early life, overthinking happens a lot in relationships. You have controlling tendencies, have to be the part of relationship, where this relationship is going, so the control is very strong. Difficulty in relaxing your mind emotionally. Later, the love becomes dependable partnership where two people are mutually working towards the connection. There is a lot of practical support in your life, and there is stability and loyalty. There's no need to control the person or the relationship to feel happy. So the trust gets better. Trust replaces the control in relationship. What are the best career options? Anything connected to manual skills, crafts and designs, writing, editing, technology, science, engineering, healing professions. Any kind of skilled work requires precision and expertise. What if this energy is not well handled? What is the shadow side? Obsessive perfectionism, control issues, anxiety over small details, criticism of self and others, and again that micromanagement of everything. Here, Saturn tries to warn you, if you try to control everything, you will exhaust yourself. So, Saturn in Hasta is your soul learning patience, humility, and mastery through discipline, skill, and development. Let's talk about Saturn in the Chitra Nakshatra. What is the core karmic lesson? To build something beautiful that is strong and authentic. We all know that we need a structure in life. We need to create a strong foundation in life, and that becomes the core karmic lesson. Chitra is ruled by Mars, connected to Vishwakarma, the architect, the celestial architect. It represents design, architecture, aesthetics, charisma, creativity, and also the personal grooming of the self image. Chitra energy wants to create, decorate, and shape reality into something beautiful. But when Saturn enters Chitra, it will test whether beauty is service level or your life is structurally sound or not. Or are you living in the superficiality of life? It may give a very strong energy of creativity deep within someone who is stylish, someone who is visionary, very ambitious, and also someone who is image conscious. What Saturn is doing here, Saturn in Chitra often creates a life path where the desire for the recognition is too much, but it is tested. Creative expression may be blocked by the external influences, or the creative expression requires discipline despite of having talents. Personal image undergoes transformation. Ego around success must be refined. You should be happy with who you are, but the ego should go away. Saturn slows down the Chitra's brilliance, which leads to mastery. So that slows down, but you will truly reach to that mastery in this life. Saturn's karmic lessons in the Chitra nakshatra. Number one, substance over appearance. Chitra can sometimes focus on how things look. Saturn is going to test whether the native can focus on quality, durability, authenticity. The lesson is true beauty is built on strong foundation. So your strong foundation is being tested, not how you decorate life and show your life to others. Number two, recognition must be earned. Chitra naturally attracts a lot of attention, and Saturn may bring delayed recognition, a lot of criticism. Maybe you're attracting wrong people, so it is leading to criticism of work, challenges in gaining appreciation for whatever you have done. And what you need to do is let your craft speak louder than what you are saying and your image. You must learn that. Control the ego around creativity. Chitra creates impressive things, creative things. Ego can appear around this sense of creativity, being very proud of who you are and what you are creating. Saturn will test that by delaying the recognition. There's a desire for admiration, and there can be too much of competition as well. Discipline creates greatness. Chitra gives natural creative ideas and vision, but Saturn demands long term effort, technical mastery, persistence in refining your skills. What are the common life themes with the Saturn and Chitra? Number one, identity through creation. Many Saturn and Chitra natives feel driven to build something significant, leave a creative legacy, prove their abilities through work. Their identity becomes tied to what they create. Number two, transformation of self image. Early life may evolve insecurities about appearance, about your career, pressure to maintain a certain image, comparison with others. Saturn helps you to build a very authentic self of yourself and your self confidence. And one may really, look for recognition, but again that recognition is delayed. There is ambition. Displacement often desires a lot of professional respect and admiration of talents, and the Saturn ensures that the recognition will come through merit and effort. It creates a tendency to become perfectionist, having perfectionist creative standards, because Chitra values beauty and the native may be extremely critical of their own work, and sometimes you become the block in your career as well. Saturn teaches patience in creative development. Saturn's test in Chitra is, can you keep building when no one is applauding you? Situations may arise where creative projects take longer than expected, recognition is delayed, hard work goes unnoticed initially. The test is that you need to be dedicated continuously towards your craft. If you master the lesson of Saturn here, what is the Saturn's reward in Chitra? You create lasting work. Your creations become respected, durable, admired for their quality. You become a refined creator. Saturn and Chitra produce great architects, designers, artists, filmmakers, engineers, builders, people who combine beauty with structure. You develop authentic charisma. Instead of superficial charm, your presence becomes quite powerful and respected. What happens with this placement in love, with how the Saturn impacts the love life? The early love is based on attraction, based on appearance or status. There can be ego clashes, image concerns in relationships. Later, love is mature. It brings loyalty and stability in the partnership. And acknowledging someone's authenticity is what happens here. The relationship, the love is more than appearance over here. And as I said, the career can be of architecture, anything connected to design, branding, construction, engineering, fashion. All of this is going to be very successful. What is the shadow side? If the energy of this nakshatra is not well handled, what happens? It creates obsession with status or image. It gives arrogance. It gives a lot of insecurities hidden behind the pride, superficial success without the depth. Saturn and Chitra is your soul learning to create beauty with discipline, authenticity, and lasting structure. Let's talk about Saturn in the Swati nakshatra. What is the core karmic lesson? Number one, learn true independence through discipline and self-direction. Here, the very role of Rahu is growth, but this growth should not be dependent on anyone. And Saturn's placement in this nakshatra makes it difficult to achieve that true independence. One can depend a lot on relationships, one can depend a lot on even others for the career growth, but overall, the independence is something which needs to be earned through discipline and your self direction. What do you think is right for you? Following that path. Rahu here is showing the journey from being this young baby plant swaying in the wind to someone who is deeply rooted in life. The Swati represents freedom, individuality, independence, exploration, adaptability. It is about trade as well because it falls in Libra, trade, partnerships, networking, learning through experience. Swati energy does not like restrictions. It wants to move freely and discover its own path. And that is realized after meeting the wrong people. Swati represents a very independent person, a curious person, someone who learns adaptability very fast, someone who is socially aware, diplomatic, and again may have this ability to become entrepreneur as well. What Saturn is doing here? Saturn in Swati often creates a life path where independence comes with responsibility, freedom is earned through discipline, direction in life takes time to develop, self reliance becomes essential. Saturn slows Swati's wandering nature so the native learns focused independence. What are the karmic lessons of Saturn in the Swati nakshatra? Number one, freedom requires responsibility. Swati wants freedom from rules, restrictions, expectations. Saturn teaches freedom without responsibility leads to chaos. The native must learn to structure their independence. Then find your own direction. Number two, as I said earlier, you will learn to find your own direction when you see failures with people. Swati can be easily influenced by social environments, trends, peer pressure, external opinions, and Saturn forces the native to develop inner direction. Your path must be chosen consciously. Number three, patience in growth. As we said, it's a young plant. Swati represents that blade of grass, a young plant. So slow growth is something which is even more caused by Saturn. Saturn here reinforces this. Life may involve gradual development, slow financial stability, delayed clarity about purpose. The lesson is that the strong roots take time to grow. Balance between independence and connection is important. But Saturn is testing whether the native can cooperate with others, can honor commitments or not. Balance personal freedom with responsibility. The lesson is true independence should be there, but it should also respect the other people and relationships. What are the common life themes? First is search for identity. Many Saturn in Swati natives experience experimenting with different paths, changing interests early in life, trying to uh, trying to understand their true direction. Eventually, they discover a unique life path which is somehow challenged by others. Then, relocation or changing environments will be a part of your journey. This placement may involve travel, working with international connections, changing environments. Swati grows through exposure to different experiences. Business and trade is something very important for people. So the partnerships become something significant. Some karma in partnerships may happen, business partnerships, the people with whom you are doing trade. So you have to work with this negotiation or a work which is based on diplomacy. Saturn here brings lessons about ethical business practices, long term financial strategy, disciplined structure in life, in the career as well. One may face loneliness because independence is greatly focused here, and the native may sometimes feel emotionally isolated, misunderstood, disconnected from traditional structures or practices. Saturn encourages self reliance with isolation. disconnection from others, being selective in the connection, in your connections, I mean, like disconnected from the people who drain you, and more of being self-reliant. Saturn's test in the Swati Nakshatra. Saturn is testing here. Can you build a stable life while maintaining your independence? Situations may arise where freedom conflicts with responsibility in relationships. Independence leads to uncertainty. Discipline becomes necessary for progress, and the test is creating structure within the freedom. What is the Saturn's reward if you master this placement? You become truly self reliant, not dependent on approval or validation. Your independence becomes stable and powerful. You build success through adaptability. Saturn in Swati can produce entrepreneurs, diplomats, negotiators, traders, consultants, international business professionals, people who succeed through networking and adaptability. You will discover your unique path. Your path is not similar to other people or the masses. What happens in love with respect to Saturn and Swati? The early love is about valuing your freedom over commitment, unstable relationships, obsession in relationships, difficulty balancing independence and the partnership. Later, love is mature communication is there, respectful partnership is there, and space and independence within the relationship. Love thrives when the freedom and the loyalty coexist. And the career, as I mentioned already, business, trade, diplomacy, independent work or business, international work, something in technology as well, law, marketing, negotiation, any field which involves networking, communication, and independent work. What if this nakshatra is not well handled, this placement is not well handled, the shadow side of this? One may become aimless. There is fear of commitment, drifting through life without direction, avoiding responsibility, unstable career patterns may happen. Saturn in Swati teaches one powerful truth, that freedom is not the absence of responsibility, it is the ability to guide your own life with discipline. Let's talk about Saturn in Vishakha Nakshatra. The core karmic lesson is channel ambition towards meaningful goals instead of destructive obsession over few things. Vishakha is ruled by Jupiter, and it shows the very the triumph arch, the success, the gateway to something beautiful. It is also the gateway of union, loyalty, reaching to a point of commitment in life. It represents ambition, competition, determination, relationships, perseverance, spiritual transformation through focus as well. Vishakha energy wants success and achievement, but also it is trapped under a lot of connections and relationships. It has a powerful ability to focus intensely on target until it is reached, and it also shows different transitions in life. What Vishakha is all about, how it gives certain qualities. It makes one driven, passionate, competitive, intense, ambitious. It thrives on having a clear goal or mission. Otherwise, without a goal, the Vishakha may feel very trapped in life. What Saturn is doing here, Saturn in Vishakha often creates a life path where ambition develops slowly. Success requires extreme perseverance. Goals must be carefully chosen. Obsession is tested by reality. Too much dependence on others in relationships or family life, or others depending a lot on you as well. Saturn refines Vishakha's drive so that ambition becomes purposeful rather than compulsive. Saturn's karmic lessons in Vishakha. First is choose your goals wisely. Vishakha can become obsessed with success. Saturn is testing whether the native is pursuing goals that are meaningful, ethical, aligned with their values or not. Not every victory is worth the sacrifice. And secondly, the same thing, but in relationships, not every relationship is worth the sacrifice. Certain relationships might be heavy, challenging, They may test your patience. You have to do a lot in those connections, but you don't need not to forget yourself. Then patience in achievement. Vishakha wants to win, and Saturn creates situations where success is delayed, obstacles appear repeatedly, persistence is required. And the same thing, patience in relationships. It brings karmic contracts with whom you cannot deal with easily. There are certain pending karmas with these connections, and you feel challenged in those connections. Next is control, competitive ego. Saturn teaches humility in success, grace in failure, respect for others' journeys as well. Then avoid obsessive attachments to a person, to a career goal or personal ambition. Saturn is testing whether the native can release unhealthy attachments. So this is where you have to work the most. What are the common life themes? Strong desire to achieve. Many Saturn and Vishakha natives feel an internal drive to accomplish something significant, build influence, reach high levels of success. The ambition can be intense. Then there are periods of frustration because Saturn slows the progress, and here the Jupiter wants instant growth, massive expansion quickly. So the native may experience repeated obstacles, delays in achieving goals, moments of doubts as well. Transformational life path. Vishakha is associated with deep transformation through struggle and blocks. The natives may reinvent themselves multiple times. This is what I said initially. Life goes through many transitions. That archway, you go through different chapters, through different gates of transitions in life. Nothing remains same forever here. And then also we have strong moral tests taken by Saturn. It will challenge your ethics. It will challenge the relationships. There will be power struggles. Decisions have to be taken between ambition and integrity. What is the Saturn's test in Vishakha? It creates a life path where you see these kind of situations where long-term effort is required. Competition is intense in the in the work profile also, or the professional place, and also in relationships the competition may exist. Setbacks are there which may challenge your motivation and hope and faith. What is the Saturn's reward if you master this placement of Saturn in Vishakha? The mastery over here is you become unstoppable in achieving goals. You will build lasting success, becoming a leader in business or a strategist, politician, entrepreneur, researcher, even spiritual seeker, because this is the nakshatra of Jupiter. People who achieve significant milestones through persistent. You become wiser. Number two, you become wiser in relationships. You will be very thoughtful in relationships. You will not allow everyone to block your path. You will respect everyone, yet you follow your path. You trust yourself beautifully. You will not depend upon the validation of others telling you did the right thing. You will not depend on that anymore. You transform ambition into wisdom. Instead of chasing business or success or professional achievements blindly, you learn to pursue these things with purpose, not just for money. Saturn in Vishakha with respect to love. The early love in the romantic experiences can be very intense attachments, like people saying their connections are soul connections. Of course, every connection is a soul connection. There are karmic contracts, but that soulmate energy, that feeling of, oh, this is my soulmate, kind of intense attachments may happen. In relationships, one may deal with jealousy or possessiveness, emotional power struggle struggles may happen. Later, when the Saturn matures here, you mature, the love looks more of a matured partnership, deep loyalty, affection, devotion in the connection, and there are shared goals and ambitions. Love should look like a support system here, not an obsession. This is the biggest lesson of Saturn here. What kind of careers are suitable? Anything connected to business, business management, business strategy, research, law, entrepreneurship, any kind of a leadership role, teachers, or any teaching or research work. Also success in the political world as well. Anything connected to even the art, anything connected to media is also going to give you a long-term success over here. What if this energy is not well handled? The shadow side of Saturn in Vishakha: obsession with success, obsession with people. In love, you may see obsession, ruthless ambition, jealousy of others' achievements, manipulation to win in situations, whether it's profession, whether it's relationship, whether it's public life. Saturn's warning over here is that if the ambition loses integrity and humility, success becomes empty. Saturn in Vishakha creates relentless ambition, but the karmic lesson is success means nothing if it costs your integrity. Now, let's talk about Saturn in Anuradha Nakshatra. What is the core karmic lesson? With respect to Anuradha and Vishakha, there's something very similar because Anuradha straight away comes after Vishakha, and that is the loyalty in the relationship. This is a point which kind of brings these two nakshatras very close, the sense of loyalty in connections, the power dynamics in the relationship. This nakshatra strongly deals with friendship, devotion, emotional bonds, and Saturn here creates the powerful lesson about trust in loyalty. So, if you want, you can listen to Vishakha as well. I always, this is my observation that Vishakha Anuradha deeply connects to love and devotion, where in Vishakha the lesson becomes about how you follow your independent path even when you have so many connections in your life, like how you divide your time between people and your time and the people's time. In Saturn, with this placement in Anuradha, it becomes more deeper with respect to loyalty, how loyal people are to you, how loyal you are towards them. So it becomes even more deeper. The lessons of love becomes more deeper, and loyalty towards your work, your passion, your purpose as well. So the core karmic lesson is learn loyalty and devotion without losing emotional balance. And this is the Saturn's nakshatra. So Saturn in its own nakshatra, it checks your endurance, how you withstand every situation in life. Anuradha represents loyalty, devotion, friendship, discipline in relationships, emotional bonds, spiritual commitment. Anuradha energy values deep connection and loyalty, but Saturn sits here and it says relationships can really become serious karmic lessons. Anuradha represents emotionally intense nature, someone who is very relationship oriented, loyal, dedicated, cooperative, and someone who is spiritually inclined. So Saturn, what it's doing here, it creates a life path where the friendships carry karmic significance. Loyalty is repeatedly tested. Emotional resilience must develop. Relationships require patience and discipline. Saturn strengthens Anuradha's devotion, but also it tests whether that devotion is wise or blind. What are the karmic lessons of Saturn in Anuradha? True loyalty versus blindly following anything, anyone. Anuradha values loyalty deeply. Saturn creates situations where the native must learn when to stay loyal, when to walk away, when loyalty becomes self sacrifice. You have to keep a check on all of these things. Then, emotional balance in relationships is important because this is ultimately happening in Scorpio. This placement may experience high emotional episodes, emotional highs, emotional lows, jealousy or possessiveness in the relationship, deep attachment to certain people. Saturn teaches emotional maturity in connections. There should be trust in the connections, but the trust should be built slowly. This placement may encounter betrayal experiences, friendship disappointments, trust issues. Saturn encourages careful and thoughtful trust building in this connection, and also commitment to a higher purpose. Your commitment should always be to something which is beautiful in life. It should be a purpose, not people. Remember, Saturn here pushes the native towards spiritual discipline, devotion to a cause, long term commitment to meaningful work. Devotion becomes powerful when directed towards a higher purpose. What are the common life themes? Number one, important friendship karma. Saturn in Anuradha natives experience powerful friendships, long lasting alliances, but intense relationship lessons. Friends may play a significant role in life direction. Then, emotional depth. Displacement creates individuals who understand emotional complex natures, any kind of emotional complexities in life, support others during difficult times. They develop a lot of psychological strength. Then it shows relationship transformations. Relationships may involve deep emotional bonds, periods of distance and separation, rebuilding trust over time. These experiences strengthen the emotional wisdom. Number four, attraction to spiritual discipline. Many individuals with displacement feel drawn towards meditation, spiritual communities, philosophical explorations. Saturn encourages constant spiritual practice. What is the Saturn's test in Anuradha? Can you remain loyal and devoted without becoming emotionally dependent on anyone or anything? Situations may arise where friendships are tested, loyalty is challenged, emotional endurance is required. The test is balanced devotion. Saturn's reward over here is, if mastered, you build powerful, lasting relationships. Your friendships and partnerships become deeply loyal and trustworthy. You develop emotional strength. You become someone that relies on yourself on difficult times, and others may also rely on you and the difficult times. You cultivate disciplined devotion. Saturn and Anuradha can make someone great in the spiritual practice, a community leader, a teacher, and someone who is also helping others. It's not about devotion to divine, but devotion to a certain cause, devotion to a certain work, helping people in crisis. That is the nature of Saturn and Anuradha. In love, Saturn in Anuradha is bringing early experiences of intense emotional bonds, trust issues, obsession, possessiveness, jealousy. Later, the love looks deeply loyal, stable emotional connection, long lasting commitment. A lot of emotional maturity should be there in relationships. That is the gift of Saturn, and it comes with time. The best career for you is anything about psychology, healing, surgery, leadership roles, spiritual guidance, research, investigation, helping people in crisis, like disaster management. These professions are very good for Saturn in Anuradha people. What if the energy of this nakshatra, this placement, is not well handled or balanced? It leads to emotional dependence, someone who is very possessive in relationships, difficulty in letting go of toxic bonds and relationships, controlling behavior in relationship and friendships. Saturn in Anuradha is about loyalty, how loyal you are to yourself. The karmic lesson is devotion must be balanced with emotional wisdom. Like your relationships require emotional maturity, a loyal devotion towards what you do in life. Let's talk about Saturn in the Jyeshtha Nakshatra. What is the core karmic lesson? The core karmic lesson is to learn to use your power with truth, with integrity and responsibility. And the very core karmic lesson is also maturity. How mature you get in your work, in your relationships, how you deal with the world. It is ruled by Indra, so it gives the success, but how you handle the success, that is what is the lesson of Saturn in Jyeshtha. The very qualities of Jyeshtha it gives to a person is the leadership, power, the ability to protect things. Survival instincts are great, authority and status, but it also brings responsibility towards other because it makes you the leader. You have the role of the protector. When Saturn enters this nakshatra, the soul learns the heavy responsibility always comes with power. Jyeshtha represents the very energy of being strong, resilient, protective, competitive, authoritative, survival oriented. It often feels the need to be strong for others. This nakshatra is associated with individuals who must navigate complexities in relationships, complex power dynamics with people in career, in public, in personal life as well. What Saturn is doing here? Saturn in Jyeshtha often creates a life path where power comes with heavy responsibility, leadership is earned through hardship, survival instincts are strengthened here. The native must act maturely and quickly. Saturn pushes the individual to become emotionally and psychologically strong. What are the karmic lessons of Saturn in Jyeshtha? Number one, power must be used wisely. Jyeshtha naturally seeks authority, and the Saturn is testing whether the native can lead responsibly and avoid dominating others, uses the influence ethically. The true authority protects rather than controls. That is the very big lesson. Then avoid the burden of always being the strong one. Many Saturn and Jyeshtha natives feel everything should be in control. I need to handle difficult situations alone, protect others, suppress the vulnerability. Saturn teaches that the strength includes knowing when to ask for support and also knowing when to give your support. Then jealousy and competition must be controlled because Jyeshtha can amplify that, and Saturn can make jealousy and competition a big block in your life. Saturn is testing whether the native can avoid jealousy, rivalry, power struggles as well. Confidence should grow through self mastery, not comparing yourself with others. Then survival through emotional maturity. This placement may experience situations involving betrayal, power conflicts, survival challenges. Saturn develops psychological resilience. Then, what are the common life themes? Responsibility from a very young age. Many Saturn and Jyeshtha native experience early family responsibilities, pressure to be strong, leadership roles within family or community. They often feel older than their age. Then, the power dynamics in the relationships, as I mentioned earlier. Relationships may involve struggles for control, intense emotional bonds, lessons about trust and respect. Saturn encourages balanced authority. Now, there's a purpose to protect others. This placement often creates individuals who naturally become defenders, protectors, leaders during crisis. Others may rely on their strength. Then we have emotional isolation because they carry the responsibility. The native may sometimes feel misunderstood, isolated, unable to show the vulnerability. Saturn teaches healthy emotional expression here. What is the test of Saturn here in Jyeshtha? Can you carry authority without becoming hardened and tough by it, like emotionally tough, where you find it so hard to understand people's life and their setbacks, like losing your empathy. Situations may arise where leadership is required during difficult circumstances. Power must be exercised responsibly. Emotional resilience is tested. The test is ethical strength of yours. If this nakshatra is mastered, this placement is mastered, you learn the lessons well. You become a respected authority figure. Your leadership carries wisdom and responsibility. You develop extraordinary resilience. Life challenges will strengthen your character. You build powerful influence. Saturn and Jyeshtha can produce great leaders, protectors, influential figures, politicians, crisis managers. The people who have high responsibility and they handle it with discipline. What happens with this placement in love? Well, the early love is coming with again jealousy or possessiveness, emotional intensity, toxic relationships, power struggles. The later, the love arrives as a loyal partnership, protective and supportive bond, respect and maturity in the connection. And the lesson is that love should empower both partners, not create dominance. The best career in which you may thrive is leadership roles. No matter whatever you do, leadership roles are significant. Again, politics, security, defense, management, law, strategy, crisis handling. Fields with authority and responsibility, both are required here. What if this nakshatra placement is not handled well? The lessons are not learned well. It leads to controlling behavior, jealousy, harshness towards others, emotional isolation, trying to dominate everything. And this becomes even more challenging. Saturn in Jyeshtha gives you the strength to carry power, but the karmic lesson is the authority must be guided by wisdom and humility in the connections. Your soul is learning to carry authority responsibly while developing emotional strength. Let's talk about Saturn in the Mula nakshatra, where it's like your truth versus the destruction of illusions, destructions of lie, destruction of the false sense of self. It's sometimes you versus you with Saturn and Mula. The core karmic lesson is destroy false foundations so that the truth can emerge. Mula is the root, ruled by Ketu. It shows that you are searching for something in life, the search for the deepest cause of everything, finding the root, the start of things. It represents destruction of illusions, uncovering truth, karmic roots, deep investigation, big changes, spiritual transformation. The Mula energy wants to dig deep beneath the surface and wants to find the cause, the truth. And it leads the native to confront deep karmic patterns of their core, of their root, and their existence. Mula energy is intense, it's harsh, it's investigative, fearless in facing truth, philosophical, spiritual, detached from superficiality. So that is the very energy of Mula. Now, what does the Saturn is doing here? Saturn in Mula creates a life path where illusions are repeatedly broken and you get confused what is the truth. Life undergoes major transformations. The native must confront the uncomfortable truths. Stability is built only after deep internal change. Saturn intensifies Mula's search for truth and authenticity. Saturn's karmic lessons in Mula are: let go of false security. This placement may experience situations where old structures may collapse, belief systems are collapsing and challenged, attachments are removed. Saturn teaches what is not rooted in truth cannot survive. Then face the truth without fear. Mula energy seeks truth. By Saturn forces the native to confront the truth that may be painful, accepting something which is painful. And it gives liberation after that. Like realizing hidden family dynamics, uncovering personal illusions, confronting karmic patterns. Truth may destroy these illusions, but it also brings freedom, liberation. Rebuild life from strong foundations. After destruction comes the rebuilding. Saturn teaches patience in creating stable beliefs, authentic relationships, meaningful life direction. Real stability is built only after the false foundation and the belief system collapses. Detach from what no longer serves. Because Mula has Ketu influence, life may involve sudden endings, detachment from old identities, radical life changes. Growth sometimes requires letting go completely. Common life themes. Major transformations may happen. You may experience drastic life shifts, changes in belief system, rebuilding life after difficult events. These experiences create deep wisdom. Then, attraction to hidden knowledge. This placement often develops interest in philosophy, spirituality, occult, psychology, astrology. The native seeks answers to understand life at its deepest level. Family, or it could be ancestral karma, because Mula deals with roots. There may be themes involving ancestral patterns, certain situations in the family life which have bothered almost everyone, and that also creates pain for you. Family karmic cycles, healing generational wounds. Saturn pushes to break the unhealthy patterns. Emotional detachment. Displacement may sometimes feel numbness, emotionally distant, detached from social expectations, uninterested in the superficial success. The focus shifts towards truth and meaning. What is the Saturn's test in Mula? Saturn is testing, can you remain strong when life removes what you thought was permanent? Situations may arise where belief collapses, relationships end, identity shifts dramatically, and the test is rebuilding with wisdom. Saturn's reward, if mastered, you become a seeker of truth. You develop profound insight into the deeper workings of life. You become resilient through transformation. Challenges become sources of wisdom rather than suffering. You gain powerful spiritual understanding. Saturn and Mula can make someone great philosopher, spiritual teacher, researcher, astrologer, psychologist as well. What happens with respect to love, Saturn and Mula, how it impacts love? Early love is bringing karmic connections, intense relationships, sudden endings. Later, the love looks like deep emotional understanding. Relationships are based on the authenticity and the true nature of people, not what they pretend to be. Love is built on truth and survives transformation. The careers which is suitable for Saturn and Mula is research, investigation, teaching, psychology, philosophy, spirituality, any healing profession, career in astrology or occult sciences as well. Anything which is about going into the depth of situation. If not handled properly, if this nakshatra energy is not well handled, not mastered, the shadow aspect is destructive tendencies, loss of faith and hope, excessive detachment, obsession with uncovering dark truths, too much into taboo things. Saturn's warning over here is destruction may lead to wisdom, not bitterness. Saturn in Mula brings one of the life's deepest karmic lessons. Sometimes everything must fall apart so that the truth can finally emerge, and you have to rebuild your foundation in this journey. Let's talk about Saturn in the Purva Ashada Nakshatra. Now, this is something which is so self understanding. Saturn is about patience, and Purva Ashar is about the hurry to get things done quickly. So, certainly, this is going to be intense, and Saturn here makes you wait for the right victory, the true victory in life. So, what is the core karmic lesson? True victory comes through humility, discipline, and inner strength. Purva Ashar is ruled by Venus, and it is symbolized by instant success. It is symbolized by a fan, so, or a winnowing basket, right? So it's about separating the truth from what is not true, separating the real success from superficial success. So this is what you are learning. Purva Ashar is definitely, it gives confidence to a person, it gives ambition to win, it gives strong personal beliefs and emotional strength, it gives a strong influence as well, like a person is very influencing and have great resilience. The Purva Ashad energy is about being charismatic, confident, and passionate about what you believe in. Okay, and you're determined to succeed in life. Like, this gives an attitude of never give up. It wants to win every time and prove itself. So, what Saturn is doing here? It creates a life path where confidence is tested repeatedly, beliefs are challenged. Success requires perseverance and constant patience. Emotional strength must develop. Saturn transforms Purva Ashar's natural confidence into very strong, mature resilience. Saturn's karmic lessons in Purva Ashar. Number one, confidence must be built on reality. Purva Ashar can sometimes believe strongly in its abilities, and Saturn tests whether the belief is supported by discipline, real work, real effort, and preparation. Confidence without efforts eventually collapses. Then humility strengthens the victory. Becoming more grounded in life, being connected to your reality is important. This desire to win always, but Saturn creates a situation where defeat may happen, ego is being challenged, ego is humbled here, plans may fail sometimes. The lesson is every setback is refining your strength, refining your skills. There is always this need with this placement to control your pride or control your emotions. This nakshatra can feel emotionally proud of its philosophy, ideas, and belief system. So Saturn is testing whether native can listen to others, accept criticism, adapt their perspective or not. Wisdom grows when pride softens. Also, persistent through difficult battles is important. This placement often faces long term struggles before success. Saturn builds resilience by requiring patience, emotional endurance, and long term effort. The lesson is that the victory achieved through perseverance becomes unshakable. What are the common life themes? So, the first thing is testing of beliefs. The native may experience situations where personal beliefs are questioned. Ideas are challenged by the reality of life. Philosophical views evolve over time, or maybe your philosophical views are not being accepted by people. Saturn encourages mature understanding of truth. Then there's a strong desire to prove oneself. Many Saturn and Purva Ashad natives feel strong internal drive to prove their strength, demonstrate their abilities, succeed despite obstacles. This drive can become a powerful motivation. There can be emotional battles. Life may involve conflicts that test your emotional strength and integrity, situations requiring a lot of resilience and power, periods where determination is essential. It is kind of helping you to build inner power. And also, you will have a certain influence over others because of the nature of this nakshatra. The native may develop the ability to inspire people, influence opinions, motivate others towards certain goals. Saturn ensures that this influence is used responsibly. What is the Saturn's test in the Purva Ashada? Saturn test is, can you remain confident even when life challenges your beliefs? Situations may arise where success is delayed, criticism appears, failures test your determination. The response determines whether confidence becomes true inner strength. What is the Saturn's reward when you master the Saturn in Purva Ashada? When you don't rush over things, you focus on reality than what makes you happy. You develop unshakable confidence, not based on ego but on your perseverance, your skills, and your experience. You become a powerful influencer because Saturn here can bring a lot of success by just influencing others. It gives a lot of happiness as well. So this placement can produce leaders, teachers, advocates, activists, motivational figures, someone who inspires other people through their work. You gain the power to overcome adversity of life. What happens in love when Saturn is in Purva Ashada? The early love arrives with ego clashes, emotional pride. When things don't go well, you feel that you are the right one and the other person is the wrong person. Difficulty admitting the vulnerability and the emotional side of yours. Later, the love looks like strong, supportive partnership. Emotional respect is there, and a mature communication also happens in relationship. Love grows when the pride softens into understanding. What kind of career is suitable with Saturn in Purva Ashada? Any kind of a leadership role, teacher, public speaker, politics, any kind of activist kind of work, motivational work, or becoming a lawyer, that will give success. Even in banking also, it gives great success. So Saturn in Purva Ashada teaches a powerful lesson that real victory doesn't come from pride, it comes from perseverance and humility. Let's talk about Saturn in the Uttara Ashada Nakshatra. One thing is clear, Uttara Ashada is connected to authority, the inner authority, how much you respect yourself. And when you connect with others, how much they connect to your authority. Do they respect your authority or not? The Saturn here creates internal conflict with your identity, your inner authority. So the core karmic lesson in this nakshatra of sun is build success through patience, through responsibility. Nothing runs quickly over here. This nakshatra represents long-term and permanent success, moral authority, inner authority, responsibility towards society. What kind of example you set in front of the world. Leadership through your integrity, achievements that will stand the test of time. Here, the quick success doesn't happen. Here, the victory happens with time, and once you do that, it's achieved for a very long time. You cannot be defeated so easily when you master this nakshatra. The Uttara Ashada energy is very principled, disciplined, reliable, ambitious also, focused always on the reputation and honor. Sometimes this gets tricky with this placement. Too much focus on your reputation may happen. So what Saturn is doing here? When Saturn sits in the Uttara Ashada, the life path often includes slow but steady success, heavy responsibilities, leadership roles earned over time, strong moral tests. Saturn here strengthens the nakshatra's theme of disciplined achievement in life, sustained effort over the time. So what are the Saturn's karmic lessons in this nakshatra? Integrity must come before success. That you first balance yourself, you balance your inner authority, you start respecting yourself, achieve that stability in the personal life, and then the success arrives. There is no quick gain over here. Victory is gained with consistent efforts. Then leadership requires responsibility. The Saturn here ensures that native learns accountability, patience, discipline. and then you become the leader, and then you become someone who sets an example for others as well. So there is authority here. You will be responsible for many people's life, but once your life becomes stable enough. And also there's a lesson of success takes time. Early life may involve slow career progress, feeling unnoticed despite of the hard work, delayed recognition, not just in work but even in the family life. Saturn here builds long-term stability rather than quick success. So it slows down the victory, but the slow victories become the permanent victories. Commitment to principles is again one more thing which is important. This placement strongly values honor, reputation, and fairness. So Saturn is testing whether the native can maintain principles even in difficult situations. What are the common life themes with this placement? Responsibility in the leadership. Your responsibility is being checked. Many Saturn in Uttara Ashada natives eventually find themselves in good positions where others depend on them, like becoming the leader in a certain organization, becoming a government or administrative. Like you are someone who is very strong in position in the government, or you are in the administrative role. You're managing a lot of people at one time, or you're managing big responsibilities as well. Your reputation matters deeply. The native may feel strongly about maintaining honor, building a respected name, protecting their public image and name. Saturn ensures that reputation is built through consistent actions. It gives strong work ethic. This placement often creates individuals who are disciplined, persistent, very dedicated, and hardworking as well. And there are moral challenges with this placement because this nakshatra is connected to the universal values, principles. So life may present ethical dilemmas, like where you have to be ethical, where you have to show up with proper manners, a sense of justice and responsibility. So you have to show up with those moral etiquette. What is the Saturn's test in Uttara Ashar? Will you remain honorable even when you are treated in a difficult way? You are dealing with dishonesty by people, or you will follow dishonest ways to get quick success. Situations may arise where shortcuts appear tempting, your authority is challenged, or you have problems with authority. Responsibilities become heavy. The native must prove their commitment to the truth, becoming more truthful in life. If this nakshatra energy is mastered, the Saturn's reward is you achieve long lasting success with a lot of respect. You become respected authority. People trust your leadership, your judgment. You contribute something meaningful to society. You can be a judge, you can be a political leader, a reformer, a respected professional, even in the corporate sector. You can be into administrative work. So these are the suitable careers also which you can follow. Anything which connects to even like simply the authority, no matter whatever field it is. It could be law, government, administration. You are the authority, you have a lot of responsibilities, that kind of careers. What happens in love is the early relationships may feel serious, responsibility driven, sometimes delayed, but later the partnerships become stable, respectful, long lasting. And what if this nakshatra is not well handled? What is the shadow aspect? Rigid moral superiority. I am superior than others. Excessive work focus, emotional distance due to responsibility, becoming overly serious. And Saturn shows here that responsibility must be balanced with humanity. And this is a nakshatra placement which creates powerful life lesson that success comes slowly, but with humility, with truthfulness, with honesty, it becomes impossible to defeat you. Let's talk about Saturn's placement in the Shravana nakshatra. What is the core karmic lesson? The core karmic lesson is about learning wisdom, learning knowledge, learning about life through patience, listening to what each and every life experience is whispering to you. Shravana means to hear or listen, ruled by moon, connected to Vishnu. It means preservation, wisdom, knowledge, sustaining your wisdom, sustaining what's amazing in your life. That is your power, your knowledge. This nakshatra represents learning and education, listening and observation, transmission of knowledge, discipline in life, discipline in learning, evolving, spiritual wisdom. Shravana energy is connected to gaining knowledge, and not just gaining it but passing it to others, giving it to others. It makes one very observant, thoughtful, curious, very eager to learn always, respectful of traditions, interested in learning from others. It often produces individuals who are students of life. So, what Saturn does here? When Saturn sits in Shravana, life may involve slow but deep learning, lessons through experience rather than theory, humility developed through listening, becoming wiser with age. Saturn here often creates late blooming, and the wisdom gets better and better, the maturity gets better and better with time, but later. The native becomes knowledgeable not because of quick learning but years of observation and experience. What are the Saturn's karmic lessons in Shravana? Listen before you speak. This placement often learns the importance of patience in communication, understanding others' perspectives, avoiding impulsive judgments. True wisdom begins with listening and understanding. Then we have knowledge requires discipline. Shravana loves learning, but Saturn teaches that the knowledge must be gained through consistent study, practical experience, humility. Wisdom grows through long-term dedication. Respect tradition while developing your own understanding. Shravana often values tradition and cultural knowledge. Saturn is testing whether the native can respect tradition, question wisely, develop independent insight. True understanding balances tradition and personal wisdom. That is the lesson. Then speak with responsibility, because Shravana deals with communication. The native may develop in deep influence through words, like you get influenced by the other people's words and your words influence others. So your words should carry responsibility, and the words you consume should also be done with responsibility. Saturn is testing whether your speech is responsible, truthful, beneficial to others or not, though your words may carry karmic weight. What are the common life themes with Saturn in Shravana? It makes you a student of life. You feel drawn towards study, teaching, philosophy, spiritual knowledge. Learning becomes a lifetime pursuit, becoming a guide for others. But because of the accumulated wisdom, the native may eventually become someone who advises others, teaches knowledge, shares insights from experience. Travel may happen a lot of times, like traveling to spiritual places, exposure to different cultures, traveling to different destinations where people belong to different cultures, exposure to different perspectives of people, gaining wisdom from different traditions may happen. You become a quite observer of life. You observe more than you speak, analyze situations carefully. You develop understanding through reflection, emotional reflection. What is the test of Saturn in Shravana? Can you remain humble while you gain knowledge? Situations may arise where the knowledge is being challenged. Misunderstandings may happen at work and relationships. Patience in learning is required. Your wisdom is being tested here. Are you humble enough or not? If you master this placement's energy, Saturn rewards you with wisdom. You become deeply wise. Your knowledge is built on real life experiences and careful observation. You become a respected teacher. Saturn in Shravana can produce teachers, scholars, spiritual guides, counselors, advisors, someone in research, communication based roles, someone who is spiritual or into philosophical work as well. You can become a great guide to people. That is the very important thing. Because your voice carries authority, your knowledge is grounded in experience, and others respect what you say. What happens with this placement in love? Immature love happens in the early part of life. Communication misunderstandings, becoming emotionally distant in relationship, cautious expression of feelings, not expressing much in the relationship. Later relationships becomes thoughtful, full of emotional expression, stable, based on understanding and respect. And the ability to listen to each other gets more beautiful. What if this energy of Saturn in Shravana is not well handled? A person becomes stubborn with their belief system, attachment to their specific belief system, and reluctance to listen to others. A lot of pride that I'm very intellectual and no one is like me. Isolation through overthinking. You isolate yourself and get into the overthinking patterns. Wisdom stops growing when the listening stops. Saturn in Shravana teaches one profound lesson, that wisdom doesn't come from speaking the most, but comes from listening the most. Let's talk about Saturn in the Dhanishta nakshatra and what is the core karmic lesson or the karmic theme which comes from this placement. Well, it is all about aligning with the rhythm of life. Whatever life offers, whatever happens in the journey, how you align with this music called life. Master the rhythm of life, and the success comes through timing and discipline. Dhanishta is connected to wealth, not just the wealth as in the form of money, but wealth in the form of attitude, in the form of perception, in the form of the success mind. So it's the most prosperous one, ruled by Mars. This nakshatra is associated to wealth, energy, abundance. It just happens naturally in one's life. Dhanishta is about prosperity, abundance, material success, social influence, rhythm and timing, teamwork and collaboration as well. You're not meant to do things all alone here. And it is certainly about ambition and achievement. Dhanishta makes one ambitious, socially active, goal-oriented, resourceful, energetic, connected with the people, the group. Collaborations are important. So what Saturn does here? Saturn, when it sits in Dhanishta, life often includes gradual financial growth, learning patience in achieving success, developing discipline in managing resources, understanding that right timing will come in your life, or right actions along with the right timing. The right timing matters a lot. Saturn slows the ambitious energy of Dhanishta. So the native learns, I need to have a disciplined approach towards life, towards different goals. Nothing can be achieved quickly, so you have to put in sustained efforts. The karmic lessons of Saturn in Dhanishta. Timing is everything. Dhanishta naturally acts very quickly, and the Saturn teaches patience. It teaches strategic planning, waiting for that right moment, and of course the right action aligned with that right moment. That is something very significant. And the lesson is that success depends not only on effort but on timing. Wealth must be built responsibly. This nakshatra is associated with prosperity. Saturn is going to test whether native can manage finances wisely, avoid reckless spending, build wealth through discipline. True wealth grows through consistent effort. Balance personal goals with your interaction with the world, like personal life versus your social network, how you connect with others. You may often work in groups or with people. Saturn teaches cooperation, leadership through responsibility, maintaining harmony within the teams. So success becomes stronger when you share a space, when you share responsibilities with people. Avoid social comparison. Because this nakshatra is socially oriented, the native may feel the pressure to look great, to look that I have the best life, compete with people, measure success through status. Saturn is teaching not to do that. The common life themes with this placement is gradual financial growths. Many Saturn in Dhanishta natives experience slow financial progress in early life, unexpected expenditures, greater stability later on in life, and learning carefully about financial planning. And success tends to increase with age. You have to learn about social responsibility. This placement may place the native in roles involving leadership within the community, within the network, managing teams, organizations, or leading the masses, coordinating group efforts. Others may depend on their reliability. Strong sense of timing is important. With maturity, the native develops an intuitive sense of when to act, when to wait, when opportunities are aligned. This timing becomes a major advantage. Balancing personal ambition and social life. Dhanishta energy often attracts active social environments. Saturn teaches balance between personal goals and community responsibilities should be managed. Again, you versus the world. How you committed to yourself versus the commitment to the people around you. What is the Saturn's test in Dhanishta? Can you stay disciplined while success develops slowly in your life? Situations may arise where progress feels delayed, financial stability requires patience, group dynamics create challenges. This test is about maintaining persistence in your life without frustration. If you master this nakshatra's energy, Saturn's reward is you build stable prosperity, not just temporary wealth, but everlasting financial security. You become a leader in a community, in groups, at the work front. People trust your ability to manage resources and responsibility. You gain social respect. Saturn in Dhanishta can produce business leaders, financial strategists, organizers, people who are independent with respect to work as well, and you give employment to others. You become influential community members, individuals who succeed through discipline and timing. So the careers are business, finance, management, leadership roles, music, art, or any kind of work which requires organization and becoming someone who makes sure that the rules are being followed or not. What happens in love? How Saturn in Dhanishta works in love and relationships. The early connections looks like emotional distance, where the ambition is somehow hindering the love, the romance, prioritizing career over love and relationships, and like no time for love kind of feeling, even though you want to feel loved. But the later the relationships become stable, you may take time to find a suitable partner. Support of mutual certain friends may not just in the form of love but you have friends also, community also, where there are mutual goals, and the mutual work, mutual goals also exist in relationship and marriage, and the partnership becomes more respectful and balanced. Love grows when ambition and partnership move in harmony. What is the shadow aspect? When the energy of this nakshatra is not well handled: excessive ambition, social comparison, neglecting relationships for success, and impatience with slow progress, sometimes even emptiness. Saturn in Dhanishta is teaching a very powerful truth that success is not only about ambition, it is about mastering the rhythm of life, how you live life, how you master this style of living, how you live with dignity and discipline. Let's talk about Saturn in Shatabhisha nakshatra. What is the core karmic lesson of Saturn in the Rahu's nakshatra? It is about healing, healing of internal wounds, transforming those wounds into wisdom. You are not alone, but you will be with those people who are like-minded. It's isolation versus healing. And this nakshatra is connected to not just healing but moral responsibilities, truth, law, and the hidden things in life. Shatabhisha represents healing and medicine, research, discovery, secrecy and privacy, psychological depth, detachment from society. This nakshatra often attracts individuals who explore hidden or unconventional areas of knowledge. Shatabhisha makes one independent, introspective, analytical, unconventional, and truth seeking. They often prefer solitude rather than being with wrong people. So what Saturn is doing here? It creates a life path where you can face periods of isolation, emotional detachment, deep introspection, developing wisdom through solitude. Saturn intensifies the introspective nature of Shatabhisha, pushing the native towards serious investigation of life's mysteries. Saturn's karmic lessons in Shatabhisha. First is learn comfort with solitude. This placement may create times when the native feels misunderstood by others, socially distant, drawn towards solitude. And Saturn is teaching solitude can become a source of wisdom rather than loneliness. Use your knowledge to heal. Shatabhisha has strong healing potential. Saturn encourages the native to develop knowledge that can help others through research, medicine, psychological understanding, and spiritual insight. Avoid emotional detachment. Because this nakshatra can be mentally focused, the native may sometimes withdraw emotionally. Too much of focus, minute focus on things which can drain you. And sometimes you withdraw emotionally. You avoid vulnerability. You rely more on logic than emotions. Face hidden truths. Shatabhisha often uncovers hidden realities. Saturn may create situations where the native must confront uncomfortable truths of life, the societal illusions, the expectations of people, which are not so healthy, and also facing personal shadow. Certain truths can be uncomfortable. Common life themes with this placement: interest in unconventional knowledge. Many Saturn in Shatabhisha natives feel drawn towards areas such as medicine and healing, astrology and occult, technology and innovation, psychology and research. They often explore fields that reveal hidden truth. They go through periods of isolation, solitude, internal reflection. They have a very strong independent thinking. Shatabhisha tends to question social expectations and society. The native may develop strong personal beliefs that differ from the mainstream views. Healing through knowledge happens here. With maturity, the native may become someone who guides others through difficult situations, provide insight and understanding, contributes to healing through knowledge. What is the Saturn's test in Shatabhisha? Can you remain connected to humanity while exploring deep intellectual or spiritual truths? Or you will disconnect from the world and people and stuck in your own emotional challenges, asking yourself all the questions sometimes, which can be very heavy. Situations may arise where isolation becomes tempting. Emotional connections require a lot of effort. Intellectual pride appears here. And what is the Saturn's reward, which happens when you master this placement? You understand deeply about life, what life is all about. Your understanding about life is even more mature. You develop healing abilities. And people here with this placement become doctors, healers, researchers, astrologers, scientists, contributing their life to knowledge and healing. You become comfortable with your individuality instead of feeling different from others like alien. You learn to embrace your unique perspective. So the careers I have already mentioned. Let's talk about love. Even deep research work is greatly blessed. I think I have mentioned that. So Saturn in Shatabhisha, the love story, the early life in love is emotional distance, being unable to understand the other person's emotional needs, and also feeling misunderstood by partners, difficulty in expressing their emotions. Later relationships become intellectually compatible, respectful of independence, and emotionally mature. Love grows when independence and emotional openness coexist. Then what is the shadow aspect when this energy is not well handled and you don't master it? Potential challenges may happen like isolation from others, emotional coldness, and then you are very proud of your intellectual capacity. There is arrogance and the smartest. Detachment from reality also happens here. So Saturn in Shatabhisha, it's like your soul is learning deep wisdom and healing through solitude, research, and truth seeking. And sometimes you may isolate yourself from others, but you don't have to do this always, because ultimately you have a lesson to grow and learn along with people, even though you have your own individual journey. Let's talk about Saturn in Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra. What is the core karmic lesson? It is about awakening of the wisdom. There's a very strong shadow aspect to this placement, darkness, shadow aspect, which you have to defeat, which you have to get rid of, so that it creates space to awaken the beautiful wisdom of Jupiter you carry. That darkness is okay, great to understand life and to be strong, but somehow it consumes you as well. Darkness transforming into spiritual wisdom, and that is the karmic lesson. It is ruled by Jupiter, and this nakshatra represents intense spiritual transformation, philosophical depth, confronting life's extremes, inner purification, awakening through struggles. Purva Bhadrapada energy often moves between two extremes, darkness to light. What Purva Bhadrapada gives to people in terms of nature, it makes a person intense, philosophical, deeply reflective, unconventional, and very curious with respect to religion and spirituality. It seeks to understand life beyond surface reality. This nakshatra often produces individuals who question the nature of existence, morality, and truth, life's deeper meaning. What Saturn is doing here? Well, it creates a life path which involves confronting lots of internal conflicts, navigating extreme of emotions and your beliefs, deep spiritual questioning, transformation through difficult experiences. Saturn intensifies this nakshatra's search for what is the ultimate truth. Saturn's karmic lessons in Purva Bhadrapada: balance extremes. Life may give extreme situations which kind of activates intense passion, deep detachment, sometimes doubts and confusion, becoming too ideal in life. Saturn teaches moderation. True wisdom lies between extremes. Transform anger and frustration. Purva Bhadrapada can hold powerful internal emotions. Saturn is testing whether the native can channel anger into constructive action, transform frustration into discipline. And the lesson is again, inner fire can destroy you or it can illuminate your path. Then seek truth without losing compassion. The search of truth can sometimes lead to harsh judgments, rigid beliefs, emotional distance. Saturn encourages balancing truth with empathy. Then develop spiritual discipline. This placement lead the native towards spiritual path, philosophical study, spiritual practices, even meditation. Spiritual growth requires consistent effort. What are the common life themes? Deep philosophical thinking. Many Saturn in Purva Bhadrapada natives spend time reflecting on purpose, spiritual truth, morality, meaning of life. They often seek answers beyond ordinary explanations. Transformation through life's experiences. Life may bring situations that challenge personal beliefs, identity, worldview. These experiences push the native towards greater wisdom. Interest in spirituality and mysteries of life is also very strong, like interest in psychology, philosophy, spirituality, occult. Always diving deeper into the hidden aspects of life. Emotional intensity is too much. This can create very strong internal emotions which can be even sometimes self-destructive. What is the Saturn's test in Purva Bhadrapada? Saturn's test over here is, can you pursue truth without becoming consumed by its intensity? Situations may arise where beliefs are challenged. Emotional extremes appear. Spiritual crisis occurs. Saturn's reward: if you master this energy, you gain profound spiritual insight. You understand deeply about life and its transformation, very wiser towards life. You develop philosophical wisdom. You become a philosopher, a researcher, a psychologist. You become a guide for others. Your life experiences allow you to help others navigate through their own transformations. Saturn in Purva Bhadrapada, with respect to career, can make you a teacher, a psychologist, a researcher, someone into investigative fields, and a spiritual teacher. Always, that's a very strong thing. Saturn in Purva Bhadrapada, with respect to love, early relationships may look like full of conflicts, ideological conflicts and differences, periods of emotional distance, a lot of emotional intensity and hurt. Later, the relationships become spiritually meaningful, intellectually deep, and respectful of each other's ideas and individuality. Love grows when the intensity is balanced with understanding. What if the energy of this nakshatra is not well balanced, not mastered? What is the shadow aspect? Extreme beliefs which can challenge other people, emotional isolation, self doubts, self destructive nature. What is ultimately Saturn in Purva Bhadrapada is bringing for you? Deepest karmic lessons. And it wants the fire within you to transform into wisdom, not to burn you and burn everything around you. Let's talk about Saturn in the Uttara Bhadrapada nakshatra. What is the core karmic lesson? It's about taking care of your emotional depth, to become more wiser, to become more calm and grounded in your life. This is Saturn in its own nakshatra. Develop emotional stability and maturity through patience and compassion. Uttara Bhadrapada is about a journey of self-understanding which takes a lot of time. It symbolizes deep emotional maturity, taking time to reach to a certain level in life. Spiritual stability, compassion and understanding, detachment from superficial desires, wisdom gained through life experiences. This nakshatra often represents a soul that is learning to remain calm even in the most chaotic emotional situations. Uttara Bhadrapada nakshatra makes one calm, introspective, compassionate, philosophical, and emotionally deep. What Saturn is doing here? When Saturn sits in Uttara Bhadrapada, life often involves learning emotional patience, developing deep compassion for others, confronting subconscious fears, building inner stability through challenges. Because Saturn rules this nakshatra, its lessons often feel very karmic but also very rewarding once you understood. And Saturn's karmic lessons in Uttara Bhadrapada are: number one, emotional stability. Life may create situations where the native must learn to remain calm during crisis, control emotional reactions, support others during difficult times. True strength lies in your emotional balance. Then we have compassion without self-sacrifice. This placement can create deep empathy for others. Saturn is testing whether the native can help others without losing personal boundaries, maintain emotional independence, and compassion should empower you, not exhaust you. Then we have understand life's deeper patterns. It pushes the native to reflect on karma, spiritual growth, the nature of suffering and peace. Saturn encourages philosophical understanding of life experiences. Then we have patience with life's pace. Because Saturn governs time, this placement often requires patience in achieving goals, accepting slow progress, trusting long-term outcomes. Peace develops gradually through life's experiences, not quickly. What are the common life themes with this placement? Firstly, it's the emotional depth. Many Saturn in Uttara Bhadrapada natives they feel very deeply. The emotions are deep, but they express them calmly. They often become people others trust for emotional guidance and stability. Interest in spiritual and philosophical topics. This placement often encourages interest in meditation, spiritual philosophy, psychology, metaphysical subjects. The native may gradually develop deep spiritual understanding. Then we have helping others through difficult time. Because of their calm presence, these individuals often become counselors, mentors, spiritual guides, healers. People naturally turn to them during crisis. Learning about detachment. Life may involve lessons about letting go of expectations, accepting life's cycles and patterns, maintaining inner peace during change. Saturn's test in Uttara Bhadrapada. Can you remain compassionate and calm even when life becomes difficult? Situations may arise where emotional patience is required. Others rely on your support. Personal challenges are testing your inner peace. The test is maintaining stability and wisdom. Now, once you master the energy of this placement, what kind of reward the Saturn is bringing for you? You develop profound inner peace. You become someone who remains calm even during difficult situations. That is the mastery of Saturn. You become a source of guidance. It can make you great spiritual teacher, counselor, philosopher, healer. These are the suitable careers for this placement. Any kind of social service can be also suitable. And you gain deep understanding of life. When you gain that deep understanding of life, you become someone who is a great teacher to others. What about love? Early love is about emotional misunderstanding, feeling misunderstood by your partner, someone taking you for granted, someone who can't understand your potential. Later relationships become deeply supportive, emotionally mature, compassionate, and stable. Love grows through patience, empathy, and emotional understanding. What is the shadow side of this placement when you don't master this nakshatra? It brings challenges like emotional withdrawal, pessimism, negative thinking constantly, feeling overwhelmed by others' problems as well. Inner peace requires a lot of compassion towards self also, with personal boundaries. Saturn in Uttara Bhadrapada teaches the final lesson of the soul's journey. True power is not control or ambition, but inner peace. So this is how Saturn in Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra works. It brings a lot of emotional maturity with time. Let's talk about Saturn in the Revati Nakshatra. What is the core karmic lesson? Well, it's all about compassion and boundaries. You can be compassionate enough, you can be empathetic enough, but how much you will hold the pain of other people. You can be compassionate while maintaining healthy boundaries. Revati is ruled by Mercury, and over here, how you process your thoughts, what challenges you, and what needs to stay away from you with respect to the thought process. It needs a lot of focus and understanding. Revati symbolizes compassion and empathy. It is about sensitivity, being spiritual, guidance and protection, creativity as well, imagination, power of mind, helping others finding their path. So these are the qualities the Revati symbolizes. It represents a person who is compassionate, creative, imaginative, intuitive, very sensitive emotionally and spiritually inclined. So what Saturn is doing here? Well, it creates a journey where you will have lessons regarding emotional boundaries, responsibility in helping others, grounding spiritual powers. You have a lot of spiritual powers, but how to ground them, how to make them stable, not allowing anyone to misuse your powers, learning discipline as well, learning about the practicality of life. Saturn's karmic lessons in Revati are number one, compassion needs boundaries. Revati naturally wants to help others. Saturn tests whether the native can avoid sacrificing personal well-being, absorbing others' problems, overextending emotional energy. The lesson is helping others should not mean losing yourself. Then turn dreams into reality. Revati has a strong imagination. Saturn teaches the native to bring ideas into practical form, develop discipline in creative pursuits, transform inspiration into tangible results. Dreams become powerful when they are supported by the right actions. Trust your own path. Revati energy often guides others, but Saturn is testing whether the native can trust their own direction, avoid confusion or indecision, build confidence in personal choices. Your journey deserves the same care you give to others. Then we have balance your sensitivity with strength, because you can be very emotional or emotionally sensitive. You may experience a sense of overwhelming which comes from other people and their emotions, difficulty in saying no, emotional fatigue. Saturn teaches emotional resilience. Kindness becomes something very important here, but you should also be supported by others. When you give kindness, you must receive kindness. That is very important here. How much you respect your kindness. What are the common life themes? Number one, helping others. Many Saturn and Revati natives feel drawn towards roles involving guidance, counseling, healing, artistic expression. They often support others through compassion and understanding. They have creative gifts. They are also very sensitive. The native may have talents in areas such as music, writing, art, storytelling. Saturn encourages developing these talents beautifully with discipline. And also emotionally sensitive, and that sensitivity also helps to learn new things, explore new things with respect to the creative pursuits. You have spiritual curiosity. This placement may lead to interest in spirituality, meditation, philosophy, exploring deeper meaning of life, connecting with the highest self. The native often seeks peace and inner harmony. Also, learning emotional boundaries. Life may repeatedly teach the importance of protecting personal energy, choosing healthy relationships, maintaining balance between giving and receiving. Saturn's test in Revati is, can you remain compassionate without becoming overwhelmed by others' struggles? Situations may arise where emotional sensitivity is challenged. People rely heavily on your support. Boundaries become very important and necessary. If you master this placement, the Saturn's reward is you become a compassionate guide. Others naturally seek your wisdom and support. You develop meaningful creative expression. Your sensitivity can produce powerful artistic or spiritual work. You help others find direction. Saturn and Revati can produce counselors, healers, artists, spiritual guides, individuals who bring comfort and guidance to others. The careers can be connected to becoming a teacher, being in social service, spiritual work, counseling, training other people. In love, Saturn in Revati is about emotional confusion, giving too much in relationships, difficulty in setting boundaries when it comes to the early relationships or early love. Later relationships become more compassionate, emotionally supportive, balanced, and respectful. Love, there's a lesson that, the relationship, the love thrives when empathy and self-respect coexist together. And if this placement is not handled well, the shadow aspect is becoming very overwhelmed emotionally, trying to escape situations, indecision in life, sacrificing personal goals for others. So Saturn and Revati is teaching you very gently, but a powerful lesson of true compassion includes caring for yourself as much as you care for others.